we could just get this started here in just a minute. We can do the intro anyway. There we go. Here, we'll just go ahead and get this thing going here. Once I figure out which, there we go. No, this isn't right either. It's only been a week. It's only been a week and I'm like all flummoxed. Welcome to the Gaming Workshop, everybody. This is episode 13, if you can believe it. And we are so lucky to have with us DeathbringerTTV. What should I call you, man? Death? Mr. Bringer?
Deathbringer. They call me DB is the easiest way, probably. You
DB.
know?
There you go. We can do that.
It's a weird name. I usually don't kill people on Doug either.
Hey man, you know, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and so it was like I was kind of in tune with all the internet stuff as it came about. And I've had a plethora of super weird and groovy names. I mean, I wasn't always Bada Boomer, you know. But
yeah, no, I dig it. You're just riding the wave.
That's
Even
it,
as
man.
a Gen Xer, I get it. Yeah, I mean,
You got to keep up with the times.
What's up?
You gotta keep up with the times, you know.
Do I really?
No.
Because I have been doing an awful job. No, let me tell you. Yeah, this came about kind of as a joke. Like, I hadn't gamed even for a bunch of years, but a few years back, I was like, yo, I want to play StarCraft again. I miss playing that. And I built a computer to play DayZ, and I played a little StarCraft, and it asked me for my name when I joined BattleNet. So I thought of like the corniest, like stupidest, most aggressive thing I could think of. All caps, Deathbringer.
There you go.
You know, and it stuck, man. It stuck. I was actually, my Twitch name in 2014 and 15, when I did a small amount of streaming, was Stony Baloney, and I should have stuck with that. It's a little more accurate.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one too. Yeah, I've been most notably, I guess, I've been Inner Pieces. You know, Pieces.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I liked that one for a long time. I was Rumblings guy for a while. That was back when I was playing Werewolf the Apocalypse a lot. And that was my werewolf name, but it stuck because it was like, it became like a metaphor for like, I'm here to deliver, I'm the messenger and I'm here to deliver the message, and it's like, you can hear me coming like the storm clouds, introducing the coming storm, it was like, it became like this pretty cool thing.
No, that's good. That's good.
But,
and also Bushwicked, which is a dude that's been in my chat, really awesome guy. He's a video editor by trade. He wanted to know what internet name you're most embarrassed by.
Who, me?
That you've used. Yeah,
me?
you.
Oh, easy. This was way back before the internet was a big thing, and we used to use dial-up to call BBSs and chat rooms and whatnot that way. And back then, man, and we're talking like early 90s, I was White Lion. And for those who don't know, back in the day, there was a hair band called White Lion, and they sang the cheesiest. Now, I'm sorry if you like White Lion, it's cool. I'm sure I could get into it if I listened to it just because, but it was like some of the cheesiest hair rock, and yeah, that one's pretty embarrassing, I think.
Damn, bro.
I don't know. Yeah, I was White Lion.
All right. Well, as I inevitably run into you again, as I do on every character, I'm gonna use that as a code name if it becomes. You'll be like, listen, you'll be codenamed White Lion if anything goes down.
That's awesome.
That's gonna happen.
See, that's fantastic
that
because that's gonna be because I'll probably never mention that again. So that's gonna be like the inside joke for people who were the people that were here. I can
right
dig
on.
It, man.
But yeah, you know that was me as the British guy you ran into, right? Very briefly. When
wanting the shotgun shells.
Yeah,
yeah.
Everyone's like, "Yo, it's the Reverend." I was like, "I'm not fucking RPing with the Reverend again. I'm out of here."
I know that's kind of how I felt. No offense, but I was like, "Oh my god, it's late. Oh, I can't get started in something new right now."
Well, no,
I was like, maybe there's some food. I gotta go.
It actually built a pretty good thing because everyone speaks well of the Reverend.
Yeah.
Now that character, you told him you had some ingredients to wait a half hour, and he did.
Yeah.
So he stole your shovel because he was pissed.
That's funny.
And,
yeah.
he met somebody yesterday. He was like, I met this fucking supposedly a reverend, you know. He's a cheat and a liar, mate. Don't trust him, you know? Like, so, it, you know, like you lied to the chef, right? As far as the chef is concerned, who knows what really happened.
Funny. That's so
but
funny.
he stole your shovel based on that.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to go grow his own vegetables. It was...
That's fair.
It was pretty good either way. But yeah, you know, I was... Believe me, I literally ended up there completely randomly, just like I have every time.
Yeah.
I spent the night fishing with 15 hooks at that little pond between Staroya and Mogilevka.
Yeah.
And just kind of followed the water, you know, and ended up there.
That's awesome, man. It's funny actually because I went adventuring yesterday, in fact, and was headed north, and I ended up taking the route that Dr. Cox introduced to the Reverend to go up that way, because you know it's not as obvious. Nice. It's not as easy to be seen. You know, you're not out in the open as much and everything. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a smart way to go. And as I went through, I was like, that's weird. I would have expected to see some sign of Dr. Cox and all that, you know.
Well, I was hopeful that
we won't be seeing much more of that, will we?
Yeah.
We'll have to get into that. We're gonna get into that, but
yo, Admiral Snack Bar, what's up? Jason Masood. Yo, Jason Masood is like one of my best buddies here on Twitch. He's an amazing musician. We work on tracks together. We co-stream together. It's just a guy y'all should check out.
Nice.
And also, hello, Andromeda and Admiral Snack Bar.
Nice. I think the links are turned off in my chat right now because I don't have active mods.
No worries.
But
I wasn't going to post them.
You can is what I'm saying, but you have to type them out.
Oh.
Is all
yeah, I mean, if people want to go follow him, they'll click on his name and they'll go.
You should definitely, yeah. Anybody Deathbringer would recommend. I would recommend as well, because
he's just a beautiful individual. I had an interview with him. I know we're talking about Doug today, but it warms my heart every time I see the guy. So
yeah. Well, I'm down with promoting good people. I kind of feel like we're all good people here, so it's all good with me.
Hell yeah. So
anyway, yeah, where were we?
Yeah, Dr. Cox, where were we?
Into it. Well, let's get into this real quick, because why not? We're gonna do this later, but I figured a lot of these things, I have a lot of topics or whatever and ideas and things to talk about, but it always just kind of interweaves through the whole show. So, but there is one thing I definitely wanted to talk with you about. Well, first of all, let's do this. Let's back it all the way up. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man, because a lot of people don't even know who you are. You know what I mean? Like if they haven't interacted with you.
Well, I'm 29. I'm 6'8", and I'm the CEO of Moneymakers Incorporated. What we do is we make lots of money. No, I'm a broke 35-year-old who had his life turned upside down a year ago. Dumped by my job of over half a decade, and not gonna lie, I was in a bad place. I came back to streaming to kind of give myself an excuse to get up and get dressed every day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. Before that, I lived in New York for 23 years. I took a random one-way flight to California to become homeless in 2010 and kind of rediscover myself, and quickly got out of that situation and kind of been going since, But I've been playing on Doug since maybe 2014, 15. One of the first whitelisted members back when you had to message Merlin on Reddit. And, I was on the donation list actually for years. I got to get back on it at some point. But when they switched over to the new server, it kicked me off and I didn't even notice, even years after I hadn't been playing on the server, So it's really the only place I play DayZ, with very few exceptions.
Yeah, it's pretty well. It's nice to meet you, my friend. We'll just
let me know if I didn't
DB.
Let me know if I didn't address any other things that you want. I mean, this is my full-time job right now. This is my job.
Yeah. Well, it kind of blew me away a little bit because I've had a similar experience as well. I also, at one point in my youth, ended up in California, kind of randomly, and obviously to be poor and homeless, because I lived on the beach for a little while, and with friends that I met here and there. It was kind of interesting to hear that. And then I made my way back home and got serious again. But it took me a while to get serious again. But when I finally did, things started happening. But that was just kind of interesting to hear that.
Bushwicked says, I figured you spent a lot of time in New York with a Long Island accent. Well, that was the easiest thing for me to do. Like, I took a couple of voice breaks with like Dr. Cox and some other characters, because it's really hard to do a 9 to 12 to 13 hour stream and stay in that character and roast your voice the whole time. I've noticed, you know, Fergus, he's always talking about making tea. Like I should have a bunch of non-caffeinated tea ready so I don't hurt myself. You know,
that's actually, that's pretty good advice. Non-caffeinated.
Yeah. You don't want to load up on the caffeine.
Yeah. For both people that don't know, caffeine does restrict your voice. You know, it does affect your vocal cords.
Yeah, it does a few things to you. I mean, I have coffee when I start the day, but there was a while back that I bought this. I didn't realize it was a cold brew concentrate. I thought it was just cold brew, and I used it as a backup, and I drank like a regular cup of it before I had a stream. It was actually a chill Christmas stream where we were building Christmas ornaments, you know, virtually for viewers. It was really fun. And I was getting so anxious and so frustrated, which I never get. And I realized later I had probably had like the equivalent to 8 cups of coffee right before I went live. That's crazy. It got me.
So, I always do better. Not drinking the caffeine and stuff. I always do better with the voice acting and stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Water and all,
Not to mention, you know, coffee, milk goes hand in hand. It's not too good for, like, you can produce a lot of phlegm with that. But so Andromeda wants to know what are some of the characters I've played, if that was directed toward me, because I'd love to know what else the Reverend was up to. Prior to being the Reverend, you know, what my character for the longest time, I played this character Stony, and like a lot of people new to role playing, I was kind of just myself, kind of like a chaotic neutral, like, you better not put some fucking handcuffs on me. I just want to be nice to people. You know, that kind of guy. And I only really got into the permadeath thing to make the game more interesting to myself, like last year. I remember Mr. G, if anybody remembers Mr. G from Doug. Awesome guy. He used to hold a little podcast, actually. And, you know, I remember him saying one day, he was very much like an objective person. He was very objective, good to talk to about things. Many things. And what he said was, he's like, hey, you know, the real role players, he's like, the people I really admire are the ones where like, hey, they die, their character's gone. And that really just made me start thinking last year. I'm like, because listen, I came back to DayZ and I ran into Silent Sentry right away, who I didn't even know. What's up, Ammo? Yeah, I remember you too, bud. Ammo, you got your feet wet right at the cult event. You were running comms on the cult event. That must have been hell for you, trying to coordinate 50 people on TeamSpeak. But gosh, where was I going before that? What was I talking about? I guess it's not that relevant. Oh yeah, so I ran into Silent Sentry. I had this amazing interaction. Anybody in my chat had never seen DayZ before that day, so they were like, are those real people? So they thought, you know, you log in half an hour, you run into Mista, and you run into a professional role player and his wife that are having an argument.
Yeah.
You know, so the thing is, I didn't even know what was going on with Doug, that there were queues. My streams flopped after that because I just tried to join randomly, couldn't beat the queue. It was an hour of me sitting in the queue just to get the server reset and back in the queue. I actually stopped playing because I didn't want to, and it wasn't fun. And, you know, I came back to doing the one-off roleplay thing, like, I want to say maybe January. And here we are. So other characters that I played were Dr. Cox, the psychiatrist. I played Glenn Weaver, the self-taught Swedish musician who could talk himself out of anything, including getting held up by Dam in the Vatos. Let's see, what were some other ones? There was Sam Chedderson, who was actually kind of an evil murderer that everybody liked for some reason. Gosh, there were so many. It's actually like a trip trying to think about all of them, because my viewers get so invested in them. They're like, no, you can't let Dr. Cox die. I'm like, yo, in a week you're gonna forget him.
Yeah, right. See, it's interesting to me. It's one of the things that I was hoping to talk with you about today, is because you do have this permadeath kind of play style, and it's unusual for a lot of us, you know, because we, like, for instance, you know, I've been playing the Reverend Alessandro for, you know, 7 months now, give or take. And the idea with that character and really my presence in Doug at first was that I wanted to integrate myself with the community and become a part of it and kind of maybe make an impact, you know, and just create something that was lasting, you know, because I've been a content creator off and on for decades, you know, whether it's writing or, you know, audio work or even having been in a band, you know, whatever it was. It's just something that's always fueled my soul, you know. And when I discovered Doug, I felt, well, here was an opportunity to showcase some of that, and, you know, with like-minded people who are supportive and just the whole thing, you know, it seemed perfect, you know. And so that's kind of what got me, doing content creation here. And for me, it's like, to do that, it takes time, and I'm telling along a slow burn story, and then I'm involved with all these other subplots and everything else. So that's the way a lot of us approach it, right? But you have this capability now. Understand, like, I understand a lot about creating characters. Like, as a writer, I've got to be able to come up with backgrounds for any number of characters at any given time. But in my interactions with you, okay, in the way that you play, it's like you have embraced this concept. You're on a whole nother level. Like, I mean, for real, because it's you come in and you play off this personality, and it's a completely different person than the one that I might have met before. And it's like it's even weirder because, like you've mentioned before, the voice gives you away a lot. But it's like, even if I know it's you, I still, it's still just immediately evident that this is a completely different character. And it's like, and you're able to just switch it as needed. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about that and the way, like, what it is that spurned you into the play style and got you so good at it.
Okay, that's an interesting question, because I don't think I'm that great at it. I think I have a lot of progress to make because I break character. If I get startled, I'll talk in my regular voice or something. Sometimes I mimic the person I'm talking to because I lose track, let alone while trying to keep up with a busy Twitch chat. It's actually really hard. So I appreciate that a lot, because I'm working really hard on this. And this is interesting because I don't put a lot of stock into things like a Briggs-Myers personality test. You're familiar with those, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, right on. I don't put a ton of stock into those, but every single time I've taken one, I get like the entertainer personality, and that kind of blew my mind. But it made me think, because it's like I'm kind of always the person that's felt like I have to break the silence or make the conversation happen, or like felt awkward, if people weren't talking, or like there wasn't that social energy going on. And I have to tell you, a lot of this probably comes from like being picked on as a kid. I got picked on a lot as a youngin, and it teaches you, like, you're constantly trying to maybe gain notice, or it leads you to want to entertain other people and maybe play a character at times to sort of protect yourself, and I think that might be where part of it comes from. I also acted a bit in the past. I've always liked to just do different voices with my friends, different accents. I mean, I hope this addresses your question. Let me try to think of a better way to kind of explain that. I mean, you want to know what do I do to get into the character? Can you rephrase for me?
I mean, well, first of all, let me tell you that this is perfect, because that's something I've tried to stress a lot, is that people that are really good at role play draw a lot from their past experiences, and you've hit on that in the sense that you had to role play, like, in a sense, to entertain yourself or whatnot. There are a lot of times in life where, I mean, you go for a job interview, and a lot of times I've learned to take my role play experience from gaming and kind of redirect it, you know what I mean, at certain things that I'm trying to do in life, like, get a job or whatever. I go in, and I perform, and if I do well, then I get the job. It's just interesting how we can, and like you said, you've acted before. I've done voice acting or whatever, just on a limited basis. But, even, people who, I don't know, like if you're in customer service for instance, and you have to, if you're good at it, and you're acting, when you're interacting with customers, you know what I mean? It's like, these are different things that you can draw from to try to, to become a better role player, or become a better actor while we're gaming and that sort of thing. But no, my question to you though, go ahead. No, if you got something to say about that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I did work in hospitality for 20 years, in every role, from busboy to waiter, bartender, management. I mean, you're the tap dancing bear all day, every day.
Exactly. That's it right there. Yes. The tap dancing bear. That's exactly what it is. And it is funny because it bleeds over into our entertainment. And for me, it does. It makes a lot of this stuff easier. And people ask me all the time, how can I, become a role player, or become a better role player, and I'm just like, I always start with, well, just try to play yourself at first, because that's who and and just try to imagine yourself being in this weird environment. But yeah, drawing all the times when it's like, even if like, you were in trouble and you might have told a lie, or something. And, if you can harness any of these different things that would get you to spontaneously just go into story, it's there's a lot of different tips.
Yeah.
Like
but
that.
let me be clear about this though. I really don't enjoy the game when I'm in a Discord and like, I gotta run to this spot. Oh, like I'm gonna kill myself here so I can get that spawn, and now I've got to run to this spot.
Yeah.
No, I just want to play the game
Yeah.
and immerse myself in my character and become what's going on. I've always thought this post-apocalyptic survival scenario would be cool. So why not immerse yourself in it as opposed to try to game the system to get every little advantage you can? I mean, the other day I was playing with some friends on my stream and I felt awful kind of advertising that playstyle to get back to them a little bit. And I had to like take the Permadeath roleplay title off of my stream that day because I'm like, hey, it's okay that I'm not doing that today, but that's clearly not what's going on. But that makes it really hard to enjoy for me. And that's why I like to play alone a lot. And
See,
I want to say...
crazy. That's interesting. Well, I will just tell you that you've already explained it, but go ahead.
Sure.
Don't let me
I just want to say, so we touched on this in the chat a little while ago. And people were like, well, yeah, it's hard to permadeath when you play in a faction. It's like, yeah, you're playing with your friends. What you got shot, you're just going to ignore them. You got shot in the first 10 minutes of your planned gaming session. Oh, I'm just a different character now, guys. I totally get it. And also, the beautiful things that have been built on the server, like bases and factions and stories and storylines, if everybody permit all the time, I don't know if all of that would be there. I don't think it would be.
Probably not.
So the world needs all types. The world needs the crackhead that gunned down Dr. Cox in the middle of the night. The world needs the Reverend to be in his place to provide a beacon of light. The world needs Dark as Midnight to roam around and capture the crackheads and random people. The world needs the scribes to show up and be a bunch of weirdos. All of these things are necessary. I would never, ever say for a second, everyone needs to permadeath and play their character and die out just once. You'd have no factions on the server.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because, a lot of times people complain about, when we go to war, what's going to be the end game? How do we know who won?
Exactly.
And all this other stuff. And it's like, well, you realize that we're on a role player server, right? So the number one decision-making process are the players. And you should probably get down and discuss, what is going to be the end, because otherwise it really is just endless conflict because nobody ever really dies. And, and at some point, even a lot of times in PvP matches, people just kind of forget the role play altogether and they're just dying and running back. And, and I wanted to point out that right there is probably the answer to the question about why you're able to do the permadeath thing so well. And sure, yeah, I mean, you play solo a lot. I play solo a lot all the time too, and I still don't permadeath, or I will decide if the time is right, for the character and the story to end. But
we wouldn't be sitting here talking. So,
well, this is true. But yeah, man, I mean, the fact that you're able to that you don't care about the numbers, you don't care about the gear, you don't care about any of that stuff. All you care about is playing the character, and that's it.
The same thing when it comes to my stream, though. I advise a lot of streamers. I talk to partnered streamers a lot that are way better than me. And I talk to people at every level, from someone who just started their stream. It's actually something I enjoy doing, is looking at this stuff. And you talk about don't look at the numbers. If Jason Masood is still listening, he probably just perked up because I've had to convince him and some other streamers, just turn your view count off and just focus on what you're doing and just play your game. Interact with your chat, enjoy what's going on, enjoy the moment. Look at your stats later. My streams have been very good number-wise lately. But what I really focused on is they've been very good content-wise. And content is king. That's why I'm there and I'm doing it, is to share these adventures with people. So it extends farther than just being like, oh, there goes the first time I've ever held an assault rifle in 5 years in the game. You know what? I probably wasn't going to fire a shot anyway.
Yeah.
And, as long as we got a good story out of it, even if we didn't, you have to have the bad stories to make the good stories appreciable. Let me tell you, I streamed for 9 hours yesterday and it was action-packed. Part of that was because I did a lot of prep work the day before. The stream the day before was 11 and a half hours. You were the only interaction I had that day.
Oh, wow.
Other than one person at the Overlook for a minute. that I stumbled upon the Overlook, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Oh, nice. So
it's
you
the
saw.
peaks and valleys. You know,
Yeah.
the rainy day of roleplay where nothing happens makes the action-packed day where you run into creeps at Starry Sober, get held up by a scribe who lets you go, meet two guys who direct you to Black Cross, then you end up running into the dugout because somebody shot at you. You take some dude on a hunting trip there. He doesn't die in the attack on the dugout because he was with you. You go back, you defend the place, you steal a weapon from the scribes without them noticing.
Mm-hmm.
You meet some other random guy who wants to take you down to go hunt deer. I mean, that was the most eventful day I've ever had in DayZ. You know, anybody who tuned in my
That's pretty
stream
awesome. That's awesome.
for the first time yesterday was like, wow, you know, who knows when I go live today what's going to happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, I think, on Doug that there isn't a little more movement, and most of this happens around the community camps. But that's okay. You know, people have said before, look, you know, you go into Scribes territory, you go into Vigil, like someone should be there to be like, hey, this is Vigil, you know, like not at all hours of the day, but it makes sense for those things to be in place. Yeah, almost got a restaurant set up exactly solo OG.
Nice.
So my thing is I'm happy playing around these community camps, but you're never going to see me spawn and beeline to one. I'm told about them, or fucking, forgive me, I'm sorry, or freaking stumble there. You know, I stumble over there somehow, one way or another. So I'm okay with that existing. That is kind of my grudge with Doug for a long time is like, DayZ does need the random crackheads running around. That needs to be. You need to have people spawning out of nowhere that have never been on the server before, and you need to have people that aren't just immediately running to a stash every time. And let me be clear. I understand why you want to play the game and have fun with your friends. I don't look down upon that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I need you to exist. I need you base people. I need the base builders. I need the factions. And I need the people that put all this time and work into making all these things there in order to be able to do what I do. So I just want to be clear that I think everyone's play style. I think everyone's play style is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think everyone's play style is great. You know, even the person who never says anything, the no mic guy that just, you know, wants to snipe people, that's fine. We need you.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
Yeah, we're a big supporter here of various plays. I mean, that's really, I mean, again, that's what Doug is all about. I mean, it's,
you played.
You know, we've said it many times. Doug is, you know, DayZ allows people to play pretty much any way that they want.
Sandbox.
And Doug allows you to do that where we can all play together.
It amplifies really that, actually.
Yeah, it feeds upon itself, man. We all build and grow upon the way each other plays. That's why next week we're going to be talking about that again, organic role play and KOS and all of that and how it comes together, because there are some advanced level things. We talked about the very basic ones, like the very basic concepts in the first couple of episodes, but it's been a while since we talked about that stuff. So hopefully you guys will be around for that one as well. But
so yeah, to backtrack, there is something I wanted to say about, you know, factions going to war and who wins. And you know, a lot of the old names on the server, like Duty Ender was a friend of mine that I ran into on many occasions. We killed each other, we made friends. Crazy scenarios with him. Actually, one time we were on the coast practically, and he was spying on us with a ghillie suit from feet away and listened to us in character talking about going up to loot Tizzy. So he watched us get into our car and leave. Actually, he opened the doors of our car in his ghillie suit, seeing if we'd notice before we got back in, but we didn't notice. We get in our car, we drive almost all the way to Tizzy. He timed it out and like sends a message over the radio where he's like, going somewhere? And we're like, turn the car around, they're about to snipe us. And we got back, and we get back to our little camp on the coast, and we find him in a ghillie suit. He had just been watching us the whole time. Anyway, he would talk about when factions go to war, eventually it just becomes, sometimes, you know, if there's no agreement, it's kids in kindergarten playing with toys being like, oh, I shot you with my laser. Yeah, well, I have a laser deflection shield. Yeah, well, I have the laser deflection shield beater, you know, like it just goes back and forth and nobody gains anything, you know.
Definitely. That's unfortunate. That's why we encourage people to talk out of character. Now, not necessarily while you're playing, you know, but you know, it makes sense, like especially if you're going to have like some kind of a long drawn out conflict with multiple people being involved, to actually, you know, just kind of chat out of character about it a little bit, just so you have an idea of what to expect. You know, there are like territory disputes, for instance. I don't know why I would bring that up, just out of the blue, I guess. Now, there's some territory disputes that come up. This is one thing that I've always thought would be interesting if the map, you know, in Doug was dynamic. And in a lot of ways it is. I mean, there's a committee that votes on map changes and people go back and forth and say kind of where they want things to be and whatnot. But I would really like to see some of that stuff change and fluctuate more often. But at the same time, I'm not like, you know, I haven't been in one of these factions and I haven't contributed to it and, you know, put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's easy to say as a bystander or somebody watching, you know, that I would love to see more conflict and more shifts and changes and things and territories and whatnot. But then again, you know, like I said, you know, it's hard for me because I ran a community camp for about 4 or 5 months and finally gave it up. You know, it was down in Old Town or in Cherno. And, you know, it just got to be too hard to try to run it there. And so, you know, it was hard for me to give that up. But then I did. I found a story, you know, I decided there was a story reason to move. And so I did that. And then, you know, I crafted this whole other set of subplots out of it. So it really became like this really wonderful thing. But it was still hard to do. And so I can kind of understand, you know, if you've spent a lot of time trying to build, you know, something in game, you know, being willing to, you know, lose some of it, maybe in the hopes of one day getting some of it back, you know, as stories ebb and flow. But again, you know, we're bringing together storytellers and, you know, action PvPers and whatnot. And so, you know, I think it's amazing that Doug integrates all these different play styles as well as it does, to be honest with you.
Totally. Yeah.
So
I want to take a quick sec to thank the moderators and the administrators, you know, that deal with this constant headache that you and I get to pontificate about here, you know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we always have a lot of respect for the admins here as well, regardless of what's going on, because their job is often thankless. And you know, they take away from their personal lives and their play time and their enjoyment time, because again, once you've seen behind the curtain, there are a lot of things you cannot unsee. And so it actually robs us of some of our innocence, you know, or ignorance.
Yeah, the burden of knowledge.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. And,
One thing I like now
is heavy.
Is since I took a several-year break from the game, I don't know Chernaris as well as I used to, and it's great getting lost every now and then.
Oh, that's awesome, though. Yeah. Especially with you, you know, playing the Permadeath characters and having someone new to play with every once in a while. It probably refreshes that mystery and awe that you had.
It's nice. You know, it's starting to happen again where it's like, okay, I spawned, here I am at Mogilevka, where it's like I'm trying to like purposely drag myself in different directions, you know, to like create other things happening. But I mean, I was all over the map yesterday, like all over the place.
Nice. It sounds like it. Yeah. It sounds like you had a great day. I had a really unusual day as well, to be honest with you. And I went out, and it was funny because I went to a base. I was actually looking for something. I was hoping someone would be there. There were people there, and then more people showed up. More people I hadn't interacted with ever had showed up. I mean, it was weird how it was just all, it's not weird, but when you experience the organic nature and you really get what that means, it's mind-blowing is really what it is. And I mean, I've been preaching it for months, and then it still happens to me sometimes. I mean, all of our encounters, for instance, have been completely organic, you know, and I mean, there was that one day, it was like, we played for like 3 or 4 hours together. We were interacting like the whole time. And to me, it was like, you know, it just felt like a couple hours. It was just like time flew by because it was such an in the moment experience. You know, I think it's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Well, time flies when you're having fun, you know?
Yeah, well, sure enough. But I mean, you know, we kind of go, you know, when we're in the zone, right? We're role playing and we're in the zone. I mean, it's almost like, for me anyway, it's like when I'm reading a book, you know, and it's like, you're just reading, you're not thinking about the words that you're reading. You're not thinking about the things that you're doing. You're just there. And that's the way it feels for me when we get some serious role play going on. It's like, I'm not even aware that I'm controlling it and doing things. I'm just acting and talking and reacting. And,
oh, absolutely.
I love it.
And,
yeah.
you know, that's one of the beautiful things. Like, you know, I used to do this kind of stuff. Granted, I wouldn't do permadeath, but I would do this kind of level of role play for years, you know, whether on my own or whatever. And I never thought that anybody would really want to watch it. I mean, I used to talk to people about it, that I would just regular people I would encounter, and some of them would find the stories interesting. But I'm just it's an additional catharsis for me, like you mentioned, when you get into these random interactions, because for me, like, this is actually something I'm trying to do, you know, and I don't push the content creation aspect. I don't force things to happen. I'll have an 11-hour stream where nothing happens, but it's a great catharsis to know that people are enjoying what's going on. And when you're in that moment, you're like, yeah, it's happening right here, you know. It's really amazing. And I thank everybody that would come hang out in my stream, you know, and enjoy the content. For years, I just wanted to share these adventures with people, and now I get to, you know, for as long as this lasts. You know.
Well, let me tell you, Bushwicked asked a really good question. If you don't mind me focusing on me for just a minute. No, I played the Reverend Alessandro, and the Reverend Alessandro, in case anybody doesn't know, is black character.
It's a good question.
And I yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, yeah, I am a white guy. Obviously, I actually do a voice. Okay, when I do the Reverend Alessandro, it goes a little, it goes a little something like
Louisiana.
This, you know? Yeah, some, yeah. I had some of that in mind, Now here's the thing, right? When first of all, I am a role player through and through, and again, I've dabbled in voice acting and that sort of thing. Now, my wife absolutely hates this voice. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, she doesn't, forbid me to do it or anything like that. But she just is like, she's just like, it's trouble. You shouldn't do it. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I was like, I could just walk around and be like, hi, I'm the Reverend Alessandro. I mean, it's just,
I'm the Reverend.
Nice yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's just like, it's not the character, and I was worried about it at first, not gonna lie. I had a few people, I was talking to in Discord. I was like, man, I don't know. I really don't know if I should. I was like, but you know what? I'm gonna do it because, for one, I feel, I consider myself an artist is part of it. And, I'm not in any way doing it to be derogatory or negative or in any way, shape, or form like that. And I don't even necessarily consider it to be an ethnic voice necessarily. It's more of a cultural voice, like a deep South voice, that sort of thing.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, I like it. Chicken. Well, yeah, that's actually kind of where it started, honestly. Yeah, because I used to do a Foghorn Leghorn impression, and it started with that. And then I thought, now, because I mean, look, guys, I grew up in the 70s. I loved Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian, the original. That you can't fabricate it. He's fantastic, and that's literally where that's literally where Alessandro's voice comes from. He's kind of like a cross between like Foghorn Leghorn and Lando Calrissian. So that's why he gets the southern thing going, but then he tries to smooth it out. That's where you get that long little pause, when he's told.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I'm glad this got, yeah, no, totally. And you do a very good and tasteful job of it.
Thank you.
And I'm glad this got brought up because
yeah,
I can do a variety of accents. I just try to stick to Anglo ones because I don't want to offend anybody. And look, you may not have noticed this, but on my stream the other night, we had some really strange event where I got knocked through the map while I was tied up. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, was that permanent? Like, what do I even do? I don't even know what to do with my character now. But I run into these two guys who were like, no English. And just immediately shift into Spanish, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, one of my alts back in the day was a guy named Carlos. He was a Mexican dude who was an expert mechanic, Yeah. Hey, dude, my name is Carlos, man. Nice to meet you, bro. But like, I stopped doing it. I'm like, is this going to cause problems? Like, are people going to see this as like a stereotypical, this or that, and it's not cool? I'm like, I have nothing but love and respect for everybody.
Yeah.
But I need to be careful of what, I'm, especially now as a broadcaster. Responsible broadcasting is something that's very important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And I wish you Bushwicked, where imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I can do all sorts of accents from around the world. I just don't think they would all be received very well.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I wish that more people were responsible on their own when in handling this kind of subject and content, because then we would be more free to express ourselves. I had to think about this, and I did, because I'm not gonna lie. All right, I'm a huge fan of Tropic Thunder. Right, I thought Tropic Thunder was brilliantly done, especially when it was done. And there are a lot of people, and if you didn't know, it's Robert Downey Jr. literally goes blackface in this movie, but he's playing an Australian actor who went blackface. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are a lot of intricacies in the way they presented, you know, this, and it was done. It was a comedy, and it was done in a comical way. And I really don't know anybody who was offended by it. It was beautifully done and amazing.
I don't know how that got past, you know, their team there. You know, how did that ever get approved?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing that that it got made, and it was, but it's still to this day. I mean, even today, I think is brilliantly done. And I will tell you, I have made the joke, and it's absolutely true. And it is sad that you'll never be able to see me cosplay the Reverend. It just won't happen. Like there, you know, I won't do that. But I will, you know, I'll do voices. I mean, you have to figure, all right, a lot of the, I love this topic, by the way. A lot of the offense that people take, all right, first of all, is either the kind of character you're portraying. And then a lot of the controversy goes over whether or not you're putting, say, black actors out of work. I'm not putting any black actors out of work by role-playing the Reverend Alessandro either.
Playing
you know
DayZ?
what I mean? You know, so, you know, if somebody wanted to come and do it for free, I would say no, just because I love doing it. But you know what I'm saying? You know, it's just all in the context. And somebody, actually, I did mention it, man, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks into the gaming workshop, how impressed I was with the Doug community, because there has not been, to my knowledge, one single complaint, not one, about any of it. And the reason that was given to me, and I thought it was great, was exactly that. It's because, you know, there's nothing negative, nothing. I mean, there is nothing to complain about, so it's all good. But I really appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, it's an important question. I mean, well, you know, if you don't mind, real quick, the only other thing that I would say about it, right, is that when I first started on the server, we had the Vatos running around. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know enough about the Vatos to know what any of their real life races are or anything like that, their demographics. But what I do know is that, you know, they did that. They were holding people up, and they were using, you know, hey, Vato, you know, hey, you know, using that kind of accent. Right. Yeah.
Hey, come on, man. I got enchiladas, man.
Brilliantly done. Brilliantly done, by the way. Very comedic.
Something they said to me.
It's not, it would be really hard to take that in a negative way because of the way it was presented and done and handled, and it was really kind of uplifting and fun, you know. So I had that also. You know, those guys had kind of pioneered it for me, and made me feel more comfortable in exploring you know, voice acting. So I just wanted to mention that too.
Here. I'm sad those guys aren't around. They're friends of mine, man. Ever since they held up Glenn Weaver. You know, have you seen that video?
No, I have. Maybe I have. I don't know. I watched a lot of videos when I first joined.
You know, one of my characters, Glenn Weaver, was this jovial Swedish man, and he thought they had such a great party coming to greet him in Gorka. Yes, I'd like to party with you. Yo, bored Irish guy, what's up, brother? Thanks for coming in, dude. You know, and he spoke Spanish to them also, better than they did. And they're like, yo, we have somebody in our group who only speaks Spanish in character. They're like, we'd love you to do something like that. So I was going to roll with those guys as like a one-off sometime. Because, you know, I can play 2 characters at once on Doug. I have 2 accounts. So
nice.
It's something I was going to do. It's too bad they're not around anymore.
I love being able to do that, by the way. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's so much work. And I'm like, it is, but you know what's more work is playing the same dude for month after month after month, and playing a certain way, you know, because the Reverend is he's pretty docile when it comes to conflict, you know, so he's not a combat guy. And so it's like, I take one on the chin every time, it seems, and he'll fight back. But yeah, I'm so out of practice. I'm so like, you know, it's not hard to get over on me, you know, and it gets weary, you know. And so, that's why I created the Dreadpaw Booma, which is actually funny because I haven't pulled him out in a long time, but I think I will here pretty soon. But he is the Dreadpaw Booma. You haven't met the Dreadpaw Booma yet. Oh my god! Oh my god! You have no idea.
Is he a prick?
You just wait. Oh, you just wait. You just wait. Anyway, no, he's awesome. I told you I was like a big fan of Tropic Thunder. He's kind of based on that concept, and he's nuts, and it's awesome because and here's the thing, right? And because we were talking about accents and things like that, the reason why I like this character is because I had decided that a long time ago we had a group, the Islanders. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of them. And I was gonna play with them, and so I was like, well, I wanted to do something kind of funny and lighthearted, so I was gonna make a pirate and have him run with the Islanders, you know, and that sort of thing. Well, they ended up leaving the server, and so I decided that I really liked the concept and started playing with it, but I realized that my accent was atrocious. Like I have a horrible British accent, and it blends together like all these, you know, anything that's pretty much not American accent. You know, it's like it kind of blends into all these different things. It's so then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna embrace it and do it. And if people don't, you know, anybody gets offended, you know, screw them anyway. I mean, it's like the community I know is, you know, not that easy to offend when it comes to things like this. And if I do it lighthearted and fun, then it's not going to really matter what I sound like, and people are just going to enjoy it. And that's what I started doing. And it turns out that, yeah, people think it's pretty funny. So, yeah, I like doing that too. It's just another way of doing accents. Even if you can't do them well, if you find other ways to make them entertaining, like, you know, just being humorous or, you know, parodying or whatnot, satire or whatnot, you know, you can do a lot of things you wouldn't have thought you could do.
You know, honestly, bloke, I mean, I think my British accent is rubbish. You know, I did quite a few hours at it yesterday, and it blended to Australian quite a few times. And I'll tell you what, mate, it's quite difficult to keep it up, talk to me chat, keep myself sane, and keep going, you know, in character with an awful accent to start off with, you know, mate. So
you gotta do it. You just gotta push through it, mate. You just gotta push through it. You just gotta push through it. You can't like get in your own head and get in your own head, right? Because I'm also from Scotland. I'm Scottish and I don't pronounce my T's or my H's. But you not like get in your own head, right? You gotta keep it straight and focused and remember who you are, right? That's all you gotta do. Don't distract yourself, right? It happens to me all the time. I gotta be like Dreadpod. That's who I am.
It's hard.
Gotta bring it in.
It's hard, man. And this is why I've talked about this on my stream. You know, like I use a camera when I stream. I mentioned the green screen. It takes a lot of lighting. You know, it makes it really difficult for me to even see the game at night.
So
I'm like, what's up?
No, I'm just saying. Tell me, man. Yeah, I can't see anything with all these lights, man. At night. No way.
So you have a ring light at the very least.
No way. No, I've got two panel lights, LED panel lights.
Yeah.
I got one as a key light, and then I've got like a regular standing light as kind of a rim light a little bit.
Yeah. If you got stands like hoods for those, it might help a little bit. But yeah,
hey, there we go.
Shit, right?
Now I can see.
So, you know, yeah. So, you know, I stream with my camera on, I interact with my chat a lot. I've noticed a lot of the roleplay guys like don't give a shit about their chat. They don't interact. They're not really a personality streamer. But guess what? Like that one thing I bring to Doug that I don't think any other Doug streamer does is actually bringing a community of people into the game that have never heard of it before, that are now interested in it and like watching it, you know?
That's great.
It wouldn't be fair to them if I suddenly switched up my whole streaming personality, took away the camera, but there's so much more I could do with the voice acting then and focus more on the content. And use, you know, different voice effects to signify my character's thoughts, you know, and different things like that. So it's stuff I've all considered. By the way, something you also touched on was, for whatever reason, my voice seems to get recognized all the time through every character that I play. And I don't want anybody to change up what they do because of that for any reason.
I don't know why. But,
you know?
You have a distinctive voice, man. I have to make my voice sound like yours. You know what I'm saying? Like deep baritone. Everybody's like, oh, you got a radio voice. I'm like, well, thank you very much. But that's not, you know, this is how I normally talk. And I guess there is some tones to it, but yeah, you know, I could be all very radio-y and we can enjoy our day, whatever, you know, but it's natural.
You know, I can modify my voice though. Like back in the day, I stopped streaming DayZ and just started playing it because for a number of reasons, you know. And I was tired of being recognized on Doug back then. People would tell me they recognized me all the time. So what did I do? I actually spawned as a female character just randomly. And I was like, cool. I had a vocal changer at the time that let me sound like a woman. So I went in and immediately had one of the most enriching and insane interactions I've ever had. It's a video that got completely slept on. It's called Phyllis and Danny. And what happens is I immediately get held up by this cannibal and he puts human meat in my face. He goes, eat that. And I'm like, whoa, I don't know. Like, I'd feel a lot better if it was someone I took care of myself. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, you hang on to that. So we traveled on the coast for a bit. We immediately meet somebody, and we tie them up and start like feeding them human meat or whatever. But we get nervous because we feel like he has a friend coming, and things go down. Eventually, the friend shows up. The friend shows up, tries to save his buddy. His buddy gets out of the handcuffs. We're like running in circles with pickaxes and like small arms, shooting at each other. When the smoke settles and the dust clears, they're both dead on the ground. There's some guy across the street with a pistol who capped them, and he's like, "No, no, no, no. I saw them holding you up. It's okay." And
that's great.
I messaged the dude after, and he thought I was actually a woman the whole time.
Yeah,
it's a pretty nuts video. So I might have to get back to that at some point.
That's
because
fantastic.
I don't want anybody to treat me any differently, whether they like me or not. I just want to be able to play. And there was already some questionable moments yesterday from people that may or may not have just kind of slid in from watching my stream, and that's something I need to worry about going forward. Right.
That's true. It is helpful. It would be helpful to remind everybody, by the way, about the metagaming rule. I try to do that when I stream gameplay. And it's not because like I'm concerned. I mean, look, man, if somebody's gonna stream snipe me, they're gonna stream snipe me. There's really nothing that I can do about it. And this is actually, we ought to go ahead and shift into more shop talk, honestly, because that of course is the other benefit of having you on, because you're pretty well established and decent, really decent streamer. So you have a lot of experience.
DayZ player.
with
I'm not a Doug player. I'm a
But-
professional streamer and broadcaster. Is what
right,
I am.
right.
As
Yeah,
a
that's
job
how I look
and a
at it
trade.
too. This is a career, thing. So I
I was doing.
Let's talk
I was
shop
doing
for a
very
little
different
while.
stuff. Mostly doing very
Yeah.
different stuff on my stream before this last month, where I've streamed nearly 140 hours of DayZ in the last 30 days.
See, now it's interesting that you mention this, right? Because when I started, if you don't mind, because I want to give you a lot of time to talk about how you got into streaming.
Floor, let me just let you know I'm just running away for 30 seconds to grab water. I will hear everything
go
you
right-
say, but just
go
in
right
case
ahead.
I don't reply.
Go
So
right
you got
ahead.
the floor.
Yeah, mine's actually kind of short. I had decided, and this was, like I said, I've always been kind of an entertainer in one aspect or another, creating content. And my wife and I were joking, talking about, the big name streamers and the money that they make. Okay. Now, the reason why we were joking about this is because I come from the 70s and the 80s, everybody, when we had things like rock stars and athletes, and everybody wanted to be a rock star, and everybody compared it to being a rock star. So here's the thing. Whenever I think of a career in streaming, I look at it as having like the same possibility of maybe being a rock star. So, it's not likely that anybody is going to hit real big and make it famous. And I don't even want to be famous, to be honest with you. Like there's a level of success that I'm comfortable with that I could maintain and ride out from now until forever. And you'll know when I get to that point, because I'll be super happy. But just trying to put some.
You seem happy now.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I am.
What's your
mean,
name? What
come
the
on.
heck is your name?
Come on. What in real life, Don?
Don. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm Tony.
Hi, Tony. Nice to meet you, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm very open about all that too. But no, I and this is it we were joking about it, right? And I was like, well, babe, I'm playing games anyway. I'm a stay-at-home. At this point, I was a stay-at-home dad. I had been in construction, was my last job, and had given myself a hernia and had decided that I wasn't going to destroy my body for like the next 20 years and be crippled when I'm old. So, I decided, just to stay at home for a while, let my wife, because my wife, she's super smart, has a master's degree, the whole thing. I don't. So, it just made sense. And I'm like, well, I'm playing games anyway. I mean, why not stream it? I actually didn't even understand streaming. I didn't understand why people liked it. I was one of those boomers who's like, why would anybody want to watch somebody play video games?
Play the game.
This is
Play the
stupid.
damn game.
Yeah. My wife is still like that, by the way. She still doesn't. It's amazing that she lets me do this. I mean, and she's let me put money into it and the whole thing, So anyway, but so I just started streaming that way. I just started playing games. I was up in the living room, right? And then COVID hit. And then I was like, crap, I'm never going to be able to do this now because everybody's home in the house all the time and, all of that kind of stuff. Well, my wife let me set up in the basement, and I was like, okay, I've got like a little storage area. I could throw some lights down there. And then I started playing certain games, you know, like Cuisine Royale, because I didn't want to do Modern Warfare. It was oversaturated. Started playing Dead by
Yeah,
Daylight a lot, and
it's a
realized
fun
that
game.
there
Cool
were a
game,
lot
actually.
of I still like that game, but I realized that there was a lot of toxicity, you know, in gaming, and I
How?
knew it before. I mean, I've been playing games for 30 plus years, but I decided that, you know, if I was going to stream, that what I would do is try to just promote positivity in streaming, you know, and kind of counterbalance all that negativity that people dump, you know, and all that. And so that's really became like the overall theme. And then once I decided on all that, um, yeah, I just started playing. And then of course I hit DayZ, and then everything kind of just started focusing on DayZ. Now I did get a few of my core people interested in DayZ, but most of them don't play. And sometimes they watch it, but not really. So I kind of feel like I really need to go back in, and it's hard, man. I want to go back and do some more Dead by Daylight. I've got Hunt Showdown now. I'd like to get into that, but there's so many storytelling. But this is why this is all related to Doug. There are so many storytelling possibilities in with Doug, and it's like the stories that we tell are so rich that it's hard to set them aside, you know, to go and do other things, you know, because it's like, oh, it's like, man, well, how could I be progressing this story, or what if this person
Yep.
needs to talk to my character, you know. Anyway, I'm going to pass it on to you now, but and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to step away for just a minute, but I would love to know you know, like you know, how you started in streaming and what your journey has been to lead you here and to be enveloped in
Sure.
Doug.
Sure. Yeah. Well, as I alluded to briefly, you know, in 2014, 2015, I was a really good StarCraft 2 player. You know, I had got up to what they call Masters League. Right above that is Grandmaster, where sits the top 200 in the North American server. I was never that good, but I thought people would want to watch me play because I was pretty good and I had my own style. I didn't really follow the meta at all. I mean, I did. You have to follow some meta, but I had my own builds. But I also did some really interesting DayZ stuff back there. One of the reason people would watch me was because I had good internet connection and I could stream it at a 6,000 bit rate and make it look good. But it was also the interactions that drew people in. But the problem I found back then was, especially as somebody with like 4 followers, was that nobody was there and I couldn't record and stream at the same time because it was just too much. I was already playing on like 13 FPS. So I ended up just recording my gameplay and trying to make videos out of it from there. I fully believe if I had been able to stay in the game, I mean, who knows where I would be now. But long story short, took a long break from that. Life got in the way, started getting more involved with work, and until the pandemic, you know, and it gave me this opportunity to maybe re-explore some of this. And I restarted my streaming account. I changed the name over to Deathbringer, which is like stupid as hell. I kind of wish I kept it where it was, but it is what it is now. It kind of works for DayZ. And I wasn't streaming DayZ at first. I wasn't even playing it. I had uninstalled the game. You know what I mean? What I was doing was I was playing Dota 2, which I'm good at, but not that good. And you want to talk about toxicity in the gaming community? It's literally the most, like, everybody. You ask someone politely, you'll be like, "Hey man, I'm pretty good here. Do you think it's possible you could go roam mid and go try to like do this?" And they'll be like, "F you, dude! Like, you know, I'm just gonna lose on purpose." And it's like, I asked you pretty calmly, like, just if we could coordinate as a team here. Like, I love team play. I love being a cog in the wheel, but it's impossible for me to stay positive in that game, and it puts me in a bad mood. So I didn't really stream it because it's just a bad look. It's bad for the brand. It's not a good thing at all, and you can't really interact with chat. I was playing a little bit of Modern Warfare, but like I'm not that good at that. I don't think those streams are that interesting for me.
No, when I was
So
doing Modern Warfare, dude, I was like, half the time I was like just trying to control myself on camera. I just, because I didn't want to like get pissed. You know what I mean?
it's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Yeah, it's
You know, so I thought about.
yeah, I'm having a great time.
Yeah. I thought about making a second account called like Rage Dota and just embracing it and going in and just like raging out. But then it's like, okay, so is my content verbally abusing people? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is I actually ended up finding music on Twitch. I didn't know there was music. They didn't have that stuff. By the way, my first stream back in 2020, I just popped open Dota and just opened it up, and I had 27 viewers out of nowhere, which I couldn't
Nice.
believe, and that kind of encouraged me to keep going, even though it was one viewer for a long time after that.
Nice though.
um,
It was quite a
yeah.
welcome back.
Yeah, but I think it was like either I tripped some like Twitch algorithm where they're like, "Yo, this person's back. Let's see if they've got it." You know, put him
Yeah,
on like the front
probably.
recommendation. I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
something like that. I
yeah.
also posted it on Reddit, and I think maybe there were several people that were like, "Who the heck is this?" That just showed up, as live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they all unfollowed me.
There you go. Yeah,
But
there you go. There you go.
anyway, I was doing that. I ended up doing a whole lot of just chatting stuff. I would like call my stream Empathy Center and just like offer to talk to people about stuff, make cool visuals, play music, get really drunk on my stream. And what I started doing actually was twice a week doing music feedback and critique with some other professional musicians and producers, where people would submit their music to us and we would listen to the whole song, give them advice on composition, on creativity, mixing, mastering, you name it, from multiple perspectives, right? It's actually very educational and enriching. Exhausting content to do more than 2 hours. And it was fun. I gained a lot of followers that way. But you know what? None of them really give a damn about me or my channel or what's going on. They just want to collect the free professional advice that they'd pay for otherwise and move on. Now, it's good to still do that as somewhat of a charity and as a catharsis. Yeah. But I'm not that good at it. I required the people with me to really give the technical analysis. I just wanted to talk about music that I liked, Yeah. So it was getting more and more over my head with that, where I realized, okay, am I going to continue down this path of something that I'm not even that good at? Like, I'm an okay producer, I'm an okay musician, but people really like to watch me play DayZ for some reason. And I was like, but I don't want to. But I started doing more community-oriented stuff. Like I did this really nice Christmas stream, some other live music performances, and the interview series that I do on Fridays are really cool. I didn't do one last week. I'm trying to put one together for this week, but interviewing creative types, artists, musicians, content creators, flow artists, jugglers. I interviewed a world record holding juggler that can throw 9 balls up in the air consistently.
Thank you.
Last week, for his birthday. So cool. I'm truly a variety streamer, even though I've done a whole buttload of DayZ lately. But this is the content I'm going to push going forward.
Hey, Robert.
Gosh, what else? Is there anything else I really did in between? Not really. That's funny. That's pretty much a summary of the last year, without going into too much detail.
No, it sounds pretty good. I like that you're a variety streamer. I like to consider myself a variety streamer as well, which is another part of the reason why I love doing the gaming workshop, because it's an opportunity to just chat, but not have it be just about me. It's like, a lot of other stuff to focus on. And it's fun to do, to be able to just chill and just do different things.
And if I can, before I forget, sure. I always interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, I do the same, man. It's all good. We're right there.
Food for thought. Yeah. You mentioned not wanting to be famous earlier, and I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. Like, I used to pass this stupid banner for USF, the college, every single day on my way to work, and it would say, "Are you living your dream?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm living someone else's dream. Stop asking me that every day."
There you go.
And when I think about like any dreams that I have, it would be like playing guitar up on stage for like 13,000 people that love my music and are singing. Like, honestly, part of me really wants that level of fame. Like, I want to go out and be able to have people love me and what I do and be able to amplify that and give it back. So I'm not gonna lie, like
see, I think I was at that point when I was younger. Like, definitely 20 years ago, I would have definitely, because I actually did want to be a rock star. I used to play bass and the whole thing. But it's just these days, because of the way the world is and, being where I'm at in my life and knowing that, I don't need, there was a time in my life where I felt like I needed adoration of others in order to feel good about myself. And that was where all of it stemmed for me. Now, I'm certainly not saying that's the way it is for anybody else, but that's definitely where it came from for me.
Your own experience.
And having a real low self-esteem and feeling like I needed other people to lift me up for me to feel good about myself. And so once I learned how to feel good about myself on my own, I realized, that maybe I was chasing the wrong things in the wrong way for myself. And it really went a long way towards kind of helping me focus. And I'll tell you, I've told a lot of people this, and they find this surprising, that I never, ever, 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 ever expected to see myself on camera. You know, it was one thing with a microphone, right? Because you can't see me, and I could, you know, I could do my voices and whatever else. But when you're on camera, it's a totally different thing. And I never would have expected doing it. And there are people who say that I'm natural at it and all this other stuff. You know, there was a lot of shoving myself through the door, you know what I mean? To get myself to do this. And the only reason why I've even become comfortable is because I've done it so much. And I would also tell you that if I was on stage in front of a lot of people, I would not be this comfortable at all. You know, I mean, it says I've got 19 viewers right now. Even if I was in front of a crowd of 19 people right now, I would probably not be as comfortable, you know, because it's just things you got to get used to, you know.
So let me tell you, never had a fear of public speaking in my life, and that's the number one fear. Never feared it ever, even though I was constantly picked on as a kid and bullied.
Yeah,
I was the kid who was 4 or 5 years old reading at the church in front of everybody in town, you know, and getting made fun of by other kids. I didn't realize at the time it's because they were making fun of me because they were jealous of how much better of a reader and speaker I was at the time, right? But, you know, a lot of people are afraid of that stuff. It never daunted me at all. So it doesn't surprise me that, you know, I'm perfectly okay. Like, I don't get nervous about stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It doesn't get me nervous at all.
That's awesome.
The only time I get nervous is when someone's relying on me. Like, you're relying on me to be here. And that was very easy for me to do. But if something happened and I was going to be late by my own fault or out of my own control, I'd be flipping out, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're relying on me.
It's so funny how different people are. Because you know, this kind of stuff could drive me nuts, right? But this is optional. You know, this is the kind of thing where I have to choose to do it. But like if it was something where I had no choice, you know, like I had to do it. Like for instance, you know, I've been to court a few times. And when you have to, like, you know, you know, a lot of people are really scared. Those are the times when I'm just like, let's just do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's no room for fear because it's just something that has to happen. If I was in a burning building and had to jump out the window, you know, I mean, at that point, I would be like, all right, I just shut it off. It's time to go, you know? But this stuff, man, I'll drive myself crazy sometimes. Wow. Yeah.
No, it's weird. This is where I feel most natural. You know, and Twitch has really given me a way to truly be myself, which I don't think I've ever really been able to be before. Look, it's my zone. When I go live, it's my zone. What I say goes within the terms of service.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
No one's going to bring me down, although that maybe happened yesterday, but
that's it.
Like, that's the beautiful thing about Twitch is no one can tell you what to do. You're doing it your own way, okay? See you, live stream. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah.
No, but that's the beauty about it, man. And I really like being able to be myself and broadcast a positive message. But I want to touch on something that's related to this because there's a streamer that I hang out with. His name is Echolocations. You would actually really like him. I think you two would get along really well.
Nice.
Wonderful guy. I'll just post his thing right there. Check him out, guys.
There you go.
Great musician, streams live music, family guy. Just a wonderful person. He hangs out in random small streamers' Discords, just talking to them, making music for them. He's just on the scene.
That's awesome.
And loves to talk about all of this stuff. And one thing he said was, he's like, I don't want to be the 12,000 view streamer. He's like, how could I get to know anybody?
Exactly.
So that's one thing. Exactly. That's one thing, though, is because there's guys like Sullen Rampage who followed me once when I had a crazy RP interaction. And then I didn't play DayZ for months. The guy would still come by my stream and still be my friend. And that's awesome. Amazing to me. And I really feel like I'm giving back to those people now because they get to watch me play a ton of DayZ, which is what they always wanted.
That's great.
But, you know, how would I keep that connection if I had 12,000 views? I don't know.
Amen. And that's part of the reason why I had decided. I mean, it's easy to say. Oh, well, here's this super high plateau. I don't even want to go that far. It's easy to say
it's like
that,
when
right?
It's like when people get into weightlifting and they're like, well, I don't want to be the muscle mound bodybuilder. It's like, well, good luck.
Yeah, because chances are you weren't going to get that anyway.
You're never going to get there.
Yeah.
Impossible.
But realistically, that is it. Because remember when I said I didn't understand streaming and all of that? Well, it's because I hadn't really invested any time into it. Now that I have, I understand, like for me anyway, the fun of streaming isn't like, oh, look at me. It's me on camera. Me. It's being able to interact with my chat. And even when, like, for those who haven't seen me recreationally stream, and usually if I'm playing DayZ, I'm playing my character, and a lot of times I'll slip in and out of character. I got a little moniker on the screen about whether I'm in character or out of character. I usually keep up with it, but there are times when it's like, if I don't run into anyone else, nobody wants to just see me sitting there farm. So I'll, kick on the in character thing, and I'll just start talking in character, and I'll talk to my chat. And sometimes it's like, if I'm the Reverend Alessandro, I'm talking to, sometimes I'm talking to myself, or I'm talking to the Lord, or whatever, when I'm interacting with chat. Or as the Dread Pirate Boomer, he's interacting with his audience, and that sort of thing. So it's like, I try to find a way to engage with chat while I'm doing it. I can't imagine that it would be anywhere near as much fun if it was just like a TV show, and that's really what I want to avoid. I want to have that homey, feel where we're interacting and all. And I agree. I don't see how you do that with thousands upon thousands of people.
So like, here's my thing. You mentioned back the monetization aspect of it, and that's something that's so bizarre to me. I don't talk about my followers. I don't talk about this number I've reached. Yo, guys, we hit 2,000 followers today. Yo, that's great. If anybody new wants to come by, but I love all of you for being here this whole time. It's not about gathering that next follower. Why that is important, though, is because people move on. Yeah. And you do need to, if you want to keep going, have this constant snowball effect, or you'll lose. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Yeah. So that's a struggle I have right now. When we talk about the monetization aspect, let me tell you, like, it's really hard right now, especially since I'm not a greedy person, and I don't expect, the content is free. That's what I say all the time. People have gone out of their way to show their appreciation, and it means so much to me. I have to avoid becoming emotional when it happens. I have to step away from my stream at times because I can't believe it that people care this much about me and what I do. Amen. And are entertained by it and like it. That's all I ever wanted, was to talk about people with my DayZ. So number one, the beauty of all of this right now is I'm not changing my playstyle at all. I'm doing what I want to do. You wonder, like, okay, to entertain people, am I going to have to like run into PvP zones? And like, no, I literally do exactly what I would do. I had that 11-hour stream 2 days ago where almost nothing happened. And some of the favorite parts for people was when I was fishing at sunset, put on a little bit of music, had a beer, chatted with my crowd. Yeah, of course I could have been run up on by a crackhead. It probably wasn't going to happen, but it was so relaxing and cool that nighttime went by like 5 minutes, and everybody commented on it. It was like it never happened. Nice. Nice. So you can find ways to make what could be a boring moment. Like, I have a friend that I used to play with, and wherever we were, like, he would want to be he'd want to be a bandit. So it's cool. I'm good at that. We'd bandit people. It's a lot of fun. Kind of a loose cannon. But, his thing is like, I'd be like, okay, preparation. Let's set up and watch this area and take advantage of somebody that comes across. But somebody wasn't there in 5 minutes, he'd want to move on and try to find somebody. He never appreciated like the journey aspect of the game. It was always about at the end. Let's find somebody. Let's get to the end. Let's move here. Let's go do this. And he'd look at me. He's like, "Oh, you're just gonna sit around with Mista and Dryka and not in Mista with Dryka and not do anything?" I'm like, "Look, man, we're doing a lot. Just because you don't appreciate the subtleties of it, which is okay, by the way, you're into a different type, doesn't mean we're not doing anything." And also, in DayZ, you don't have to find trouble. Trouble finds you.
Oh yeah, man, you got that right. You got that right. Man, that's one thing I wanted to ask you, by the way. If you got, I'll let you go on. If you got more, I'll talk over.
I was just gonna respond to chat. Really, I was just gonna respond to Solo OG.
Do it.
And Solo OG, man, you're a great role player, and you put a lot into it, man. And it does blow my mind too. But there is value to what we do, and don't forget that. Okay, it's hard for me. I'm definitely not just playing video games. I'm working 12 hours a day on this and going right to sleep and getting up and doing it again. Why? Because I love what I do. I love you guys, and I went through a period of extreme self-doubt, guys. I've never been a not confident person. But December through maybe April was very, very difficult for me. And I did some things to get myself out of it mentally. I streamed every day in January to try to motivate myself. But there were some people that really fell off of my stream that seemed like they were way into the content, like VIPs that had like thousands upon 10,000s more chat messages than anybody, just disappeared. And you know what it was? It wasn't me. It wasn't my stream. It's their life. They can't spend that much time there anymore. Their job picked back up. They met a new person that they're spending time with now. And I let it reflect on me very poorly in my own mind. I'm like, what? No one likes me. No one really cares about what I'm doing. But ultimately, it's not up to other people to care about what I'm doing. It's up to me to make something worth caring about. And
There
I
you
talk to
go.
people about this all the time when they're
That's
like,
it.
no one does this. No one comes to my stream. I'm like, listen, this is what I say to newer content creators. I'm like, do you watch your replays? Would you watch your stream? Like, what's going on there that's going to pull people in? You know,
Yeah.
what are you doing that that sets you apart? And I believe after a year, I hit a year of streaming in maybe a couple weeks. I've finally been able to refine something that I think people actually like. They're not coming to my stream because they just like me as a person and want to be sympathetic to me, which is very cool too. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
I
we'll take
appreciate
that
that
all
a
day.
lot.
We'll take it.
Sure, but right now there's new people joining and saying, "Yo, this is really fun." Like, "Yo, I was watching Amish Zed, but like this is what I want to see," you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, like part of having a camera up is like I'm not a very emotional person, but like it makes me want to fucking cry, man, because it's it's just so remarkable to me that people actually care and people are getting something out of it. You know, it sounds like what I'm saying is selfish, and to a degree it is, but you have to take care of yourself at some degree.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, because if you're here, because like, look, man, like I've tried to explain, you know, like I said, my wife lets me do this, right? She lets me do this, and that's I say it that way on purpose, because she doesn't get it, right? And for her, I'm just down here playing video games. That's just it. To me, it's work. You know what it entails. Even at the level that I'm at, I'm not doing as much work as I should be doing, but the work that I'm doing is work. And it's like I was telling chat, this isn't, you know, again, I'm not just sitting here playing, I'm performing, you know, whether I have the camera on or not. You know, when I don't have the camera on, sure, I'm definitely, it's more playing, but I'm still performing because I'm performing my character. But when I have the camera on, I'm performing more than just my character. It's everything around me. And that's not to say that I'm being fake, because like you, being here and on camera and on the microphone allows me to be more true to myself than I could ever be in my real life, you know? So I'm not performing in that regard, but what I am performing is like, you know, I'm outgoing, I'm trying to be engaging, and you know, I'm talking with people while I'm playing. It's not something that I would normally do if I was playing a game just quiet, you know, I'm just playing. So there is a lot of work involved with it, you know. It's not just chilling and having fun. And I think most people, when they actually try to do it, realize that pretty quickly. And those are the people that are usually staring at the viewer count, or, you know. And I try to tell people this all the time too, because you hear that question all the time, is what do you do when you have no viewers, you know? And I'm like, you would do the same thing you would do if you had 100 viewers, you know. Like, how do you think you get those viewers? You got to be yourself. So talk to yourself, you know, narrate what you're doing, whatever it is, just be engaging, you know.
So imagine something that's terrifying to me would be building content that's not you, and you have to really wrap yourself in a pretzel to do, and going live doing that every day and being someone you're not and getting famous doing that. My Lord, I can't think of a worse fate.
Yeah. Well,
there's
you know, it's similar. Go ahead. No, you tell us about another streamer. Go ahead.
Sure. There's a music streamer that I really like. His name is Aaron Goldberg. I did a video on him on my YouTube channel because he just means a lot to me. And one thing he taught me is, and this is 100% true. What he does is he goes into his shed where he has his music equipment, and he has a lot of instruments. He's very good at all of them. He sits there and he makes music for 5, 6 or more hours at a time, you know, nearly every day. And you know what he would be doing if literally nobody was there, if he wasn't streaming and nobody was watching? He'd be sitting there making that music. And it's been a slow grind, but over time, you know, 60 people show up and love to be around it. And he's talked to me about this. Very personable guy off a stream. He talks about this on stream too. He's like, yo, I show up and do what I love to do, and I think it's really good. And I haven't compromised one bit. And over time, over a very long time, more and more people that kind of think like me and like this type of stuff are here. Now they're hanging out all the time. Like, it's amazing, you know? Like, I can't wait to go live today. I can't wait to go into my stream and see my folks and meet some new people and literally just be myself.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. See, most of the time it feels that way, but you know, it doesn't always feel that way. There's some times where it feels like you're going to work, but to me, that just goes, you know, to show that it is actual work, especially when you push through it. I'm not always 100% successful at that. I should have been streaming last night, to be honest with you. I wish I had, given the amount of stuff that actually happened. But there were certain things that I also couldn't have broadcasted last night, so it kind of worked out the way it did. But yeah, man, I just you know, I love doing this. I like that you know, I want to be comfortable with it. I want to be able to, you know, make a respectable living at it. But again, will that ever happen? You know, I don't know. So I'm just going to enjoy what I'm doing while I'm doing it, you know, and you know, and put myself out there to make it possible. But you know, because I'm not just sitting here going, "Oh, I hope something happens." You know, I'm actually putting a lot of work and effort into it. But it's not the end all be all. Like, you know, if I never make it successable, these are going to be some really wonderful memories. You know what I mean? That I'm creating for myself.
Yeah,
things that I won't regret because I actually put myself out there.
Yeah, you touched on quite a few things here, and one thing I talk to a lot of these new Fortnite or Modern Warfare streamers about, where they're like, "Look, I don't know if you know this, I moderate like a 40 or 50,000 person subreddit called r/Twitch streams.
Nice.
I help people out with this stuff constantly, as much time as I get, and I'm like, listen, are you doing anything? I'm like, let me be blunt. Are you doing anything more than putting a camera in the corner and playing Modern Warfare for 6 hours and hoping for the best? Because it's just not going to work for you. There's just so much work. Your work actually begins when you hit stop streaming. Like, I go and get a glass of water, I'll go to the bathroom and I'll chill out for a second, and then I go right back into outreach. I go right back into looking at editing, you know, analyzing what I did and didn't do well that day, watching my stream back if I can, making sure my audio levels, like improving things in OBS. This is literally 12 hours a day of streaming, and then maybe additional hours after that, you know, when I wake up before I get back into it, or right before I can finally nestle into bed. So it's actually an incredible amount of work. And if you talk to any full-time content creator, you know, except for guys who have maybe, you know, reached, like you said, you know, the Jimmy Page of the world, they're probably still working really hard. But look at a guy like Choco Taco, who's a very, very good PvP, you know, first-person game player. Choco Taco. Not really my style, but the guy's incredible. I'll acknowledge him. And recently in an interview, he said he works 11 hours a day, every day of the week. But to me, that's better than, you know, having to travel across town and go live someone else's dream and be exploited in the restaurant industry for the next 20 years of my life, you know?
That's it.
So I have this unique opportunity here being unemployed, and my time is running out. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not trying to get rich off of this, man, and I don't expect to. But just right now, my goal would be A, creating amazing content, B, remaining true to myself, C, not losing connection with the community, and finally, D, the one that might be the most important, but I'm trying not to focus on, is reaching a place where I'll be able to keep putting all this effort into it. Because you bet your booty, if I have to go back to working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, it's not going to be possible to, let alone stream all this long, but put any effort in. Right now, I can't edit any of my videos because I simply don't have the time. How in the heck could I go back yesterday and even timeline that stream that I had and just pick out the good moments? I'd have to hire somebody to do that. And, you know, right now, first of all, anything you get from Twitch, you know, you're paying a 15% self-employment tax on top of your income tax there, which blows my mind.
Yeah, you know.
Yo, Jersey, what up, dude?
Middlemen love it. Hey, what's up, Jersey?
Yeah, so like I always encourage people to donate directly to the creator.
Yeah.
Whenever possible, which is why I've thought about starting up a Patreon, but I don't know what other things I could offer on there. But you know, I really feel like when I started on Twitch, there was no subs, there was no bits, there was no give Jeff Bezos half your money. So I feel like we all got duped with that to a degree. I appreciate all of it. I appreciate all of it. But people could actually give half what they do as a direct donation, and I would actually get almost the same out of it. You know, you're still paying that 15% on top, but I'm not asking anybody to do that. It's just something that I kind of got off onto a tangent on here. But
and I have a hard time asking for money and all of that too, by the way. So because I'm just here to perform, you know, and to do my thing. And
but you know, it's different for me because I used to make what people might consider a lot of money. But it's gone now, and I haven't had income in a long time now, and it's as simple as this. Like, if I want to keep doing this, I have to just get over that hump, not ask for anything, but be okay accepting it and pushing that sort of model that encourages people to do it. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to alienate anybody because they don't have $5 a month to give me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm there
So
right
it's
there with you.
extremely difficult.
If you figure it out, let me know. We can hold each other's hand through it, because I'm at that same point. I mean, look, man, because it's like we're not wealthy. Like, this is the best off I've been my entire life. I'm 47 years old, and there was
say that last year, but now
there are plenty of
it's all
times
on
when
its
I
head, man.
literally lived on the street. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like I've come a long way, and I can't do this indefinitely without it having some return. I mean, my wife is again able to support us very, very well at the moment. But I mean, we've got kids growing up. I mean, we got all kinds of things going on, and so yeah, it's like something that I can do now, and I'm enjoying now. But I have to find a way. I have to find a way to have it pay for itself, which I'm not quite there yet, and have a little bit more so that it's a viable. It's not a hobby anymore. It has to become. It can't be a hobby. You know what I mean? And be indefinite. So I thought about trying to do things like, because I'll tell you right now, first of all, and I'll say it again, this Doug community has been just a godsend to me. I mean, it's just been incredible. You talk about getting emotional. I almost cried. I would say like the first or second one. I think it was like maybe the third week that I had done this show. And I had people just freaking out, just subscribing and doing gift subs and all this other stuff because they loved what I was doing. They loved, this giving back to Doug, and they were giving back to me, and it was amazing. And it was honestly the first time in the last year that I actually had a payout from Twitch. Just so you guys know, there's a threshold amount you got to reach in order to be allowed to even withdraw any money at all. And I hit it. I mean, it was amazing, man. I was all emotional and stuff. I kind of wish I had been filming it. I would embarrass myself for years showing that.
Yeah.
But and I came on the next week and just thanked everybody. And I was just like, I mean, you have no idea, the kind of fuel that puts in my tank. You know what I mean? It's like, because it's not even a lot, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm still way behind, in trying to come out of this even. But it's still it's just knowing that people care that much and are willing
exactly
to give of themselves, because they see what you're giving of yourself, and they give back, and it's just. I mean, I'm gonna get like, but I mean, it really is. I mean, it means so much.
It's a tangible expression of someone's appreciation of your work. And again, you know what? That doesn't mean someone that can't afford to give doesn't appreciate it as much. I just want to be extremely clear on that.
People in this chat talking to us right now. I mean, you guys don't even know how supportive that is. Maybe. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. How do you perform for 0 viewers? We've all been there. Anybody who's streamed has been there. And it's hard, man. And it's so much, it's easier, and more fulfilling to have you guys in chat. So trust me, just even being there, is volumes. I know that's where DB was going, but yeah. I mean, we love all of this interaction. It's fantastic.
Yeah. The best thing anybody could do is just to hang out when they can, and, obviously you need to find your backers along the way. That understand what you're going through,
Yeah.
And, I wish I was financially secure. I would do affiliate offboarding, not have a donate button, and be like, yo, just enjoy, everybody.
Yeah, seriously.
Because, but it's simply not the reality. Because
if we could just live off of ad revenue, but that's the thing. I said, if we could just live off of ad revenue and product placement and crap like that. But then again, that only comes when you have that level of success where you don't necessarily need it as badly, and when it's harder to interact with people, so it's like seems like such a fine line to walk, and not being too big to where you can't nurture your audience, but being big enough to where you can, where it can pay for itself without having to take out of people's pockets.
Well, I want to tell you, in January I was looking at my metrics, if you will. And again, I don't look at this stuff on a micro level. I look on a macro level. I don't look while I'm live.
Yeah.
I might check afterward. I'm going to look at the month for sure, or the week for sure.
Yeah.
And, Twitch tells you exactly what you're bringing in on an estimated level. And of course, that doesn't account for tax and self-employment tax. So you have to subtract, maybe 45% of that if you want to be safe. But let's just go on the hard number that shows, right? in January, I was looking at that and I was like, I need to make like 20 times that if I ever want to make this a reality. But the next month I was looking at, I was like, I need to make 17 times this if I want to make it a reality. And the next month I'm like, okay, I'm still, I need to make 10 times this amount if I want to be able to just pay rent and maybe eat a can of beans every day. And you know what? We're not there at that point yet. But I'm looking at it now and I'm like, okay, I need like maybe 3 to 4 times what I'm getting right now in order to continue this. So you're like, wait a second, does not seem good. But 3 or 4 months ago, it was an exponential amount more what I needed to get. It seems to be something that could eventually snowball into it. And one thing that's important to understand, A, about roleplay, B, about playing on Doug, and C, about broadcasting on Twitch, is that it's a marathon. It is not a sprint. For some people, it happens right away, but that's extremely rare. Yep. You talk to a lot of partnered creators, people that have been at the game for a very long time. And one of the consistencies in nearly all of them is that they have been consistent at it for a very long time. 2 years is the average that I find of streamers that really have something going on. And those guys didn't usually take a break. They streamed nearly every day. And there's a lot of other steps. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a snowball. It's a slow snowball for a lot of people. But at the same time, I've seen some creators reach partner in 6 months or less on DayZ alone.
That's amazing, honestly.
And I don't look at partner as like a goal at all. I think it's actually a trap because the first level of partnership, you actually don't get anything more from subs or bits. You get a small percentage of ad revenue more. Yeah. And the thing you get is the check mark next to your game that makes you speak louder in chat, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing you get is the check mark next to your name. But like for me, you'll never find me talking about partnership on my stream until first of all, I don't think I'll ever get there. But number 2, it'll be when I apply and I've got it and I'm holding a celebration and a giveaway to thank everybody.
Yeah,
because there's a guy that I pay a lot of attention to that did music critique with me. His name is Scotty Fox. He's a brilliant guy. And he's like, look, is your content talking about you making partner or is it your content? Like you don't sit there talking about that. And I also find if you talk about things like that a lot, it tends to not manifest itself.
Right.
Because you achieve a sense of satisfaction just from talking about doing things.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
As opposed to just getting to work and just continuing your content. It's like one thing for me is
yourself out of it.
I want to remain, engaging. And, I don't want the end of my stream to be like, all right, let's find someone to raid everybody and then spend 10 minutes on that. Although I have started doing that if I don't know anybody on.
Yeah.
I want to have that in mind and have a seamless experience and be like, okay, everybody, thanks so much. Here's the list of people I thanked. Let's go check this person out. They're a great streamer. But you know what? I rated some of the wrong people. I rated the wrong guy last week, and I'm still sore over it, dude. Yeah. I'm still sore over it. So what I do now is I actually, if I don't know anybody on at 1 a.m. when I finish, I check their stream out for a little bit. I follow them. I make sure they got their head in the game, and it's the type of content that I would like to bring my viewers over to. Because I rated some guy, I brought him up over 100 viewers. I brought a lot of viewers over to him. He was already partnered, and the title of his stream was Good Vibes, Good Times, Good People. I'm like, okay, this sounds really nice. Like, this sounds like a good community-oriented guy. And I just raided. I was exhausted. I get over there. He's like, yo, thanks for the raid. And that's okay. You don't have to, scratch my back after I raid you. You can keep playing your game. But that's it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, I'm almost done, though. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, no worries. I'm like, at least I'm here to buff your raid. I'll hang out with you, and we'll make noise when you go into the next chat. Didn't respond to me. 15 minutes later, he's like, hey, it's a great session. We got 15 kills tonight, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. 126 viewers. Just ends the stream. Doesn't bother trying to pass it along to anybody else.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're literally the worst. I'm like, you're literally the worst. And actually, I ranted about it. The next time I went live, I had to calm down because I was so pissed. I was pissed off. I'm not going to name this guy. I'm not going to name and shame.
That's funny, though.
It's funny. A PvP DayZ guy, plays with all the guns and the night vision goggles, and all they do is like group up and kill people, who have a smaller group and their computers aren't working.
That's funny. Now, see,
It was
I used
PUBG
to
with extra steps.
I used to have a really big list of people who were streaming because when I first started, I got into a couple of communities that were, scratch my back kind of communities. And a couple of them, sadly, the people running the communities have fallen off. But the people in the communities are still going, and still kind of supportive of each other. So most of the time that stuff doesn't work out, but sometimes it does. And I have a huge, I was just looking at my list right now because we mentioned this earlier, or you asked me if I would pass it along and raid somebody else. And I'm like, of course I would. For the first several weeks of doing this, I felt dirty, because it was like I'd go and I'd look at my list and nobody would be on. And I was like, man, I've got like all these people watching right now, and I mean, even a lot of them are just at work. They're not, so it's like I could pass it along and someone would still benefit from it. And I'm looking right now and there's literally 2 people in my list of like 100 or so people that are streaming right now. So I got to update. I got to start following more DayZ streamers and Doug streamers because apparently I've fallen behind somewhere.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, part of my job now is watching other streams, not only to gain the perspective of the viewer, but to find cool people that I'm okay with bringing my community over to,
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's another part too. Man, it's got to be like somebody you would support,
That's what I'm saying. So I'm checking out streams constantly now, streamers of DayZ. And there's people that I've checked out for a bit that have a good following, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'd ever bring my people over here because they don't give a shit about their chat or their community. Yeah. And there's other people I feel very comfortable bringing.
Or if they're toxic, I mean, because like again, I want to promote positive streamers and positive gamers, and people who really enjoy gaming, not people who want to be abusive because they suck or whatever.
Yeah. So this is part of why I'm organizing a Doug Streamers raid event where hopefully we can have a 12-hour or more event with multiple creators involved where we all get an hour or whatever the time slot is. And however you choose to use that is your own. You can just do the Reverend Farming, or you can plan an event for that day, or the Rangers can show their might and go raid some crazy base with 25 members that day when they have, Fergus or whoever is the Ranger that's streaming that part, right? Yeah. And this would build solidarity amongst the community. It would make us aware of each other. It would bring a little bit of prestige to the server and the streamers that are involved. And let's just be honest, I hear people smack talk Doug all the time in other streams.
I can see you're actually in this other group. Apparently, I didn't find out about this until like a month or so ago, but apparently there's a Doug content creators group. Yeah,
it's like dead.
And it is, but here's the thing. It's only dead because we're not using it. And I just found out about it.
Look at the last post in there.
Yeah, I understand that. The thing of it is, I didn't know if you might be interested in trying to run something like that. And it sounds like what you're doing is kind of like a very, 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 very light version of the very beginnings of something like that. And that's what made me think of it, honestly. I know Mr. Blue has been given all the ownership of it, I think, right now. And he had mentioned that he had mentioned to me that he was looking for someone to run it, which to me implied that he didn't want to do it. He wanted me to do it. And I would do it. But as we have already discussed, time is a fleeting thing. In fact, I think this is really sad, but as of right now, and I'll put this on the record, the last gaming workshop I posted, I think was like episode 8 or 9. I think it was 8, and I'm working on 9 now. And here we are, episode 13. So, and that's just me. That's me with poor time management skills. But imagine me trying to run something like that. I don't know. But I thought it would be really nice if we did have a way where Doug creators could come together and 1, help each other and work together, and 2, to try to put out some steady content, or at least have a place to where we could feed off of each other. And then I'm really surprised that Doug doesn't have a YouTube channel, to be honest with you. It seemed like
I mean, they could definitely step it up, but
but somebody's got to run it.
Thin.
Somebody's got to run it. So it's like it's just a matter of
that own you.
It's just a matter of who
says
wants
Doug
to
does have a
put the
YouTube
effort
channel.
into it. We do. Well, I haven't seen it. I thought it would be pretty cool if creators, who are trusted, I guess, like me, for instance, I don't put out horrible content, like scary content or whatever, you know what I mean? Inappropriate content. But anyway, but we could just go and, upload our stuff there too, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. You don't post it unless there's general content updates. Yeah. See, I mean, it seems like there could be more that could be done with Doug. But again, it comes back to who has time to devote to that sort of thing. So,
Yep.
you know, not saying anything negative to anybody. That's absolutely for certain. I mean, again, everybody who does anything for Doug is amazing because of the amount of time and effort that it takes. But
I think the best way I could help that Discord,
yeah,
if they wanted to make me an admin so I can ban any weird shit that goes on, I don't think that'll ever really happen there. But the best way I can help that is by continuing to stream and being active and trying to organize these events and hoping to tag people along. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like, I would definitely work with you.
I think it would actually hurt everything more. And I don't think you were suggesting this, but I think it would hurt everything more if I like started dedicating more time to, because I don't even know how to run a Discord, like
yeah. No. I'm right there with you. I have people that help me. I mean, come on. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to, I mean, cause I don't have the time to nurture it myself. I've made this joke before and it's not really a joke, but back in the day, they called people like me the talent. Now, understand there's nothing conceited there at all. I'm not saying I'm talented, and I'm not suggesting that I am talented, but it was a thing that people like producers would say to put people in their place. Like, you're the talent. Go sit here, and when we're ready for you, we'll come get you. Yeah, and meanwhile, they do all the heavy lifting. Right? Yeah. They would go do all the heavy lifting. I agree with that to some extent because that's kind of what I want these days. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of at that point where it's like, but I like to be hands-on and I like to work and I like to do all of that. But fortunately, or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, there's nobody around to do that extra stuff for us these days, and that's part of the industry being so wide open is that, anybody who might have been willing to, or a lot of people that might have been willing to dedicate a lot of their time to somebody else, are off working with someone else. So we have to learn how to do all this stuff on our own. And I just thought I would give a big hats off to all the creators out there, by the way, who can do that, because it is not easy necessarily to learn, to go and dedicate time to learn how to do all of this stuff. Because there are people that go to college for this forever to learn how to do it, produce other people's work. So to learn how to do it yourself is, it is difficult. It's not easy. And hats off. I have a great deal of respect for anybody. I mean, some people look at my streams and they're like, "Oh my God, you're amazing." And then I look at DB's stream and I'm like, dude, like, this guy's tight, And then I'm sure that there's plenty of other people that he looks at and he's just like, "Oh my God, it's amazing what they do."
Yeah. Totally.
And most of us are self-taught, so.
Yeah. I talk about like the hierarchy of DayZ streaming on Twitch because it's a fairly popular category where you're still able to be discoverable if you're doing something cool. Like, right now Summit is bringing a lot of people back. He was playing a little bit last year, too. So when I looked yesterday at the DayZ list when I finished my stream to see who was on, there was somebody with 34,000 viewers. That's Summit, one of the most famous and popular streamers on the internet,
Right.
So people like that coming down has a major trickle down effect of them seeing cool things and wanting to see more DayZ streams and getting involved. Like look how Doug was in like November where you couldn't get in. I think that's healthy and good for the server. Now, there is the hierarchy though. Like Summit's doing his own thing. I don't include that in the hierarchy. When you look at your normal list, you'll see like right now Smoke is the big streamer for DayZ. You'll see him with 3,000 viewers, and then the next guy, maybe has 1,000, and then the next guy will have 800, and then it's like 500, 200, 100, and then it's wide open. And we're talking on the third row of the browse page. If you're up at 30, 40 viewers, which is really nothing in the scheme of things of Twitch, you actually have a chance to be clicked on, which you don't in many other categories with that level of viewers.
That's true.
So that's one thing that's really been working for me. And I think a lot of my friends that met me on Twitch through like music and the arts, which I would love to continue in, don't understand how impossible it is for me to get noticed doing that when I'm not even that good at it. And honestly, guys, like there's a lot of work that goes into this, but like I said, a lot of the work is when you're not streaming. And I get to just be myself and play the game that I love to play in the way that I love to play it when I'm live. So the only reason I'm mentioning that is it's like someone who's an amazing guitar player or musician like the Aaron Goldbergs or Numb the Geek or Jason Masood of the world, for them going on and just playing guitar and playing music is as natural as walking down the street. Well, for me, doing DayZ roleplay is as natural as walking down the street. So it's like doing what I'm good at and not trying to be who I'm not, But yeah, then you have the Running Man Z who brings a bunch of people in. Yeah. him or Smoker, like I'm putting them in the same category as like the 3K viewer, streamer.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie to you, like there's some creators that I've seen
level.
reach a lot of success and partnership in the last
Okay.
6 months playing DayZ that I don't think are really that interesting or that engaging at all. And I'm kind of curious how they even got there. I'm not going to call anybody out.
I feel that way about a lot of streamers, to be honest with you. But
what it goes into is what I call the Gestalt philosophy of streaming, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
If you tune into one of my long ass streams and hang out for a half hour and just see me taking a break and sitting there, you'd be like, what the hell are these? Like, what is this guy?
See,
like,
that's a fair point, dude.
What's actually going on here? We don't know the one moment they had where they connected with everybody and sold everybody on what's going on. And everyone's,
I'll tell you, that's exactly how I felt about Summit. I'll be honest with you, because I again, like I told everybody, I had heard of Dr. Disrespect. I had heard of Ninja. You know what I mean? I'd heard, and I had heard of Summit, right? But I didn't really know why anybody watched him. And when I first started doing all this, and so I tried watching him play, and I'm like, hey, this is okay. This feels like just watching a guy playing video games is how it felt. And I didn't understand it. Then I did my research and I learned who he was and I learned what made him famous, and it was a competition, and he happened to do something really amazing, and that caught everybody's attention. And then at that point, he's a magnet. You know what I mean? Once you hit that level of notoriety, you're a magnet. And so people are going to be coming to watch you no matter what. Like I was. I mean, I was one of a few thousand people,
see the
on his list, wanting to check him out. So, I get that, and now he's, still enjoying that success. But there are other people, and he's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like when he's just not, it's not what is engaging to me is the thing, his style isn't my thing. And we all have different tastes, so it's perfectly acceptable.
Let's be honest.
But, yeah.
The majority of the viewer base of Twitch is males age 13 to like 25. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so what are most of them going to be into? Like PvP, faster oriented type stuff. The slower storytelling stuff maybe doesn't sell to that crowd as well.
Yeah. Well, you'll notice, here's the thing, or at least I noticed with my particular audience, is that I have a lot of middle school and younger high school guys that will watch my stream. And I feel like, some of it has to do with, like the dad aspect of it. I'm also cool and engaging and whatnot. But it's also the demographic, it has a lot to do with the demographic too. But they will watch me play and engage with me in everything, like Dead by Daylight and all these things where, you get a pretty quick match turnaround and you're on to the next thing. Whereas, with DayZ, it's a lot harder. I mean, there are still a lot of people, but the people that get into what I'm doing with DayZ are the people who are playing DayZ. It's not as much people from other games watching DayZ as much as it is people that enjoy, or Doug, or like if I'm playing on a whitelist days, we'll get people that aren't whitelisted watching, things like that.
It's niche content, but there's stuff in DayZ that you're never going to get anywhere else in any other game. And like I said, I've brought people to be fans of watching this that never would have come across it, never would have clicked on somebody's stream, never would have been interested in the game, because they've caught those moments. Where I talk to Sheila and Michael, aka Silent Sentry and Charlie Blossom, or they see the chef, that they helped build this character since they've watched me for a little bit, and I actually end up in Vigil's camp, and they put all the stoves together and like, come on, chef, let's see what you got. And then I mess up and burn the stuff, but the guy tries it anyway, and I box him because he didn't like my food. Like
that's hilarious. That's fantastic. That's actually happened. See, that's fantastic. I love that. Hey, somebody mentioned Dr. Disrespect. Let me tell you something. I have a very firm appreciation for what Dr. Disrespect does. Okay, I don't know the guy as a real person in real life or anything, but the reason why I appreciate Dr. Disrespect's approach, and look, guys, do I walk around wearing an orange shirt and suspenders and stuff all the time? No, I really don't. I used to wear, I've got work shirts that are covered in stuff. I actually thought about eBaying them off as a joke, not really selling them, but as a joke, because they're work shirts, and I grew up wearing bandanas and hats and stuff all the time. So I'm wearing it. I think Lemmy said it best. He is like, like we're talking about rock stars in the 70s. He was like, nobody wants to see the guy next door. They want to see a freaking alien from another planet up on stage, and that's the kind of mindset that I have. But I dig Dr. Disrespect because of that, and because I grew up watching wrestling, and he reminds me of a wrestling character. Like, that's exactly it. Like, if there was streamers had stables and wrestling, he would be a wrestling character. And it's fun if you look at it that way. If you try to take him serious, he's ridiculous. But it's a great gimmick. I really, and it's like, it's funny because I thought about that too. When I decided to be a streamer, if I wanted to be gimmicky or not. And it really, the outfit's about as gimmicky as I get, you know. And even then, the orange and all that's because of it's the color for multiple sclerosis awareness. That's the only reason why I even have orange in the first place. And as you can see, I'm like pretty oranged out. Everything is like orange. I like orange now. But anyway, I decided that, you know, I wasn't going to do a character or anything like that. I just wanted to be me. And it's actually cool because now that I play DayZ and stream Doug content, I get to do characters that way. Which is all right with me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. No, please do, man. Please do. Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny, okay, is that we were talking about content creation. I've got other things that I've been wanting to do. I mentioned it a few times. I'm not a preacher, okay, in real life. The Reverend thing was a total role play thing. But I am considering maybe doing some ministry videos because I used to love to do social commentary and I really miss doing that. And I would like to be able to do it that way. But I'm also planning on doing cooking videos and things like that because I used to talk about food all the time and people were genuinely interested in my recipes and that sort of thing. And I was like, well, if I do a video series, you know, like a recipe series, I'd have to take everything upstairs into the kitchen. And then I was trying to decide, you know, would I wear the orange shirt and suspenders and stuff or not, you know? And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to, like, because it's become part of the brand, you know, now I guess the Bada Boomer brand. It's kind of a weird thing to say anyway. But, you know. DB, are you still with us, buddy? You might have stepped away for a minute. And Toronto says, as another person who grew up during the golden age of wrestling, the heel face shades of gray personalities of Doug is what really dragged me in. Dude, I can't agree with that more. I you know, this whole thing, we joke about it sometimes. If you've never seen the movie The Warriors, okay, there's controversy as to what it actually brings to the cinematic universe, but I enjoyed the movie. I think it was fantastic, and especially growing up in a day when the Warriors could be made. But it reminded me of that because everybody's got their faction color and their outfits and all this and their own distinct personalities and all this. That really comes into play. And it does. I can see why you would relate it to wrestling as well. Because everybody certainly does have their own theme and whatnot. Oh, thank you for that follow. I think DB might be back.
Yep.
Yeah, there you are, buddy. Right on.
Yeah, the one thing you mentioned, have I heard of Mark Rebier? He's actually subscribed to my channel.
Nice.
Now, he didn't subscribe to my channel. Somebody gifted it to him as a joke. But Mark Rebier, awesome. Yes, he has been gifted a sub to my channel. Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah. I used to do a lot of like music and comedy type stuff. You know, I did this whole large production I did once with Jason Massoud where we played two different characters. I was like a nerd and he was like a rock star. And we did an episode called, we did a debate show, a fake debate show called Mass Debaters. And I like made this Chris Wallace intro where he like brought us in and we just, you know, played characters and just picked two different topics. We used to do all sorts of like, I'm going to keep doing stuff like that on Twitch. It's just really hard to build that stuff, you know? And you mentioned Dr. Disrespect. Like one thing I admire a lot about that guy, I mean, he's got some qualities that are not as redeeming, but his ability to stay in character for that long is exhausting. And like, I don't know how he does it, you know?
Yeah.
I'd love to do a little more world building than just having a starting soon screen and me showing up and saying hello and having an intro. But I'd literally have to stop streaming for a week or two to build all of that right now, you know? I do have a theme song, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Senyo, I feel it. I'm glad you're feeling better and you're back at work. Senyo was having some food poisoning or something. Oh, Senyo is an awesome flow artist and fitness streamer and someone that I never thought would be so into my DayZ streams, but she's there for the whole time. Amazing person. Someone y'all should check out on Twitch as well.
That's nice.
Yo, what's up, Cars the Star? Yeah, a lot of my folks are coming through, huh?
say that's something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna follow. You know, because I'm actually need to be getting into fitness a little bit more myself lately. You know, and I've actually considered trying to find somebody to watch and
She would run circles around both of us.
get in stuff. Oh, I believe that in a heartbeat. That's interesting. I'll talk to her fellow. Yeah, no, well, I'm finally, like I said, I'm finally embracing, you know, streaming as kind of a lifestyle for entertainment and information and whatnot. Because, I mean, it's true, you know, like I said, if I tell my wife I'm going to be streaming today, she's like, oh, you're going to go play games? I'm like, no. And even today, I mean, I'm definitely not playing games right now. That's not what this is. But, you know, and somebody was like, oh, you know, you ought to find a streamer who has an interest that, you know, that she would get into. And I'm like, well, what does she do? Well, it's like, well, she loves watching cooking shows all day. Well, then maybe I could find a streamer who is entertaining, you know, somebody she would find personable, you know, who does cooking stuff, you know, and maybe that would, you know, it kind of opened up my eyes to the possibility that there are a lot of people that create a lot of different content for pretty much any subject, you know? So I was like, dang, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I used to do microscope streams that I still do sometimes. There's anything out there, you know, there's an audience for everybody. Find your audience on Twitch, but understand just going live probably isn't going to do it. And the advice I give to anybody that wants to just get started is the best thing you can do is go hang out in streams of every size of the content you think you'd like to make. Just absorb, see how it's done, see how the viewer experience is. B, be cool. Yeah. I'm a talkative guy, so this works for me.
Yeah.
Just be cool. I met Grandmaster Ong, who's one of the world's best flow artists and prop manipulators, because I was in a music stream one day, just being cool, not talking about anything else. And the guy goes to my page, he goes, oh, yo, it looks like you stream on the same day as me. Yeah, I go live on Sundays too. You know, I do like circus and juggling content. I'm like, dude, can't wait to check that out. We're great friends, huge crossover from our communities. You know, our content is wildly different, but maybe that's why it's so healthy. You know,
nice.
If we're both jugglers and both going live, it's like, well, who are you going to watch? But it's like, oh, today I'll watch some DayZ roleplay. Tomorrow I'm going to go watch Marvin juggle, you know, 6 clubs in his driveway. So just being cool in chats, man, is where it's at. Like getting your name out there, being seen. There's a lot of people who have seen Deathbringer around, but are only just starting to click on it because they've seen it so much. You know what I mean? And it's like, I was huge on Doug back in the day, but nobody even knows who I am anymore. You know, none of the admin, like now that Yari's gone, nobody knows who I am anymore. And that's fine. But they're starting to learn again.
That's cool. Well, honestly, I hadn't met you yet. I hadn't heard of you. And I was seeing you promote yourself and Doug share content a little bit. And so it got me interested. But then we ran into each other and started playing. And of course, I had no idea who you were at the time at all. And was immediately more interested in you. You know what I'm saying? And then ran into you as another character and realized it was you. And just this whole thing, you know, just kind of spurred organically, of course. And I'm very grateful for it, man. I'm really glad that we've met. And
same.
I mean, I've, you know, even, you know, we haven't had a lot of direct discussions about streaming and that sort of thing, but I feel like, you know, you've already rubbed off on me a good bit just in the interactions that we've had and watching you. And, you know, I'm glad that you came back to streaming, Doug, for sure. Because we might not have met otherwise too, you know, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, no,
man.
definitely. I mean, it'd be hard for me. Yeah, I feel the same way, but it'd be hard for me to like transition to another server right now because of my history here and my care for what's been built and what's going on here. You know, like I said, it gets a bad rap around Twitch, actually. Whenever I mention it, people will laugh at Doug or they talk about drama, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm anti-drama, anti-meta. Like, you know, I don't even know like what the next town is basically on my character for the most part. So I've always been able to stay out of that, you know. But then again, some of those same people, I posted one of my videos where I got held up and was like dropping F-bombs to the Booney brothers and telling them to get me out of the handcuffs. One guy was like, dude, I would have just shot you. And I'm like, yeah, that's why like you're not interesting at all to play with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, seriously.
And that's why maybe you think Doug is boring, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
That's really it. I feel for the people that really want to interact and then just have a really rough start at the beginning, because it can seem like the RP doesn't exist. I've actually been there, you know, when I first started playing. I had a little difficulties here and there. Fortunately met the right people that helped reassure me that I was in the right place. And then, of course, as time has told, I feel right at home. But I feel bad for the people that don't really, hang around long enough to get through the growing pains of starting on this server. Because once you do, I mean, it's like I mentioned in the Discord last night, I had a completely organic experience again last night that was just way beyond my expectations. And it usually is. It almost always is when there's real interaction. I mean, I get, random KOS and things like that sometimes, and, that just is what it is. Sometimes that leads to other amazing interactions, organic interactions you weren't expecting. Sometimes it doesn't. But, you always hope for the best. But for the people like who haven't made it through the whitelist yet, and again, it's not imperative that you do, but it still is like, it kind of tells us that you've really grasped what we're doing here. And, I say keep striving for that bar, even if you don't need it, because it really means a lot to get it. I mean, it did to me. And then when I have the kind of roleplay experiences that I've had, just through my whole time here, it's just really indescribable. You hear me, I'm stumbling a lot right now, but because it's hard to describe when you get that, when the planets align perfectly and everything just comes together. It's just like, this is why I play here, and I want everybody to experience that. It's really all it is.
Yeah, but I don't know. I go back and forth on a lot of this, and I just want to encourage anybody out there listening, keep your play style, play you, but especially on whitelist days, consider leaving your base every now and then and going out to do things and trying to have some random interaction. Now, it doesn't mean you're not role-playing and having interaction within your base. I get it. You invite the other group over, you have a real talk discussion, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about that at length next week. Because next week, again, we're going to be talking about organic roleplay and KOS and PvP and just the whole thing and how it all comes together here on this server. Because, again, it's not, you get a lot of things that you don't think will mix. But somehow we manage to pull it out, and we bring it together and end up with a wonderful, potentially wonderful experience for everybody to get something out of it. And we're going to talk about that next week. And because it's not as easy as it looks,
It's not.
I mean, you were talking earlier. I mean, there are a lot of things that happen when you die, that could happen. Like, you're worried about, whether or not I'm going to run back to the fight. Well, what about if I've been planning this roleplay session with this guy for weeks, man. We finally, weeks of roleplay. It finally culminated at this exact moment. And I walk up to him and I say hello, and then all of a sudden, boom, you are dead because some random idiot just decides to show up playing DayZ of all things. And you know what I mean? And it's like, and this is how you feel, but really it's just a guy playing the game his way, and it's weird when you really break it down. How do you balance all of this and keep it fun for everybody?
This is a post-apocalyptic zombie survival scenario simulator. There will be sociopaths and thieves and robbers and bad actors out there looking to ruin everything that's going on just because they can. So you know what? I was going to ask you, have you ever played on a server where KOS is not allowed, expressly forbidden?
No. I've given it a lot of thought.
Might as well go play Second Life.
And I'm just not interested. Yeah, or The Sims or something. I'm just not interested.
Just, you're never going to have that. You're going to get to walk around and talk to everybody, but there's no RP because of that. Everybody's just this calm person in this place where they exist forever, Yeah.
Well, that's why this topic is so much fun, honestly, because there are so many perspectives on it and so many nuances to it as well. But that's what I like to say about KOS more than anything else. A random KOS. And again, we're going to get in. There are some distinct differences I was reminded of recently, and we're going to talk about that next week. But it's like nobody really wants, none of the role players really want KOS to happen to them. But we need the threat of KOS. Otherwise, everything's bland. Otherwise, it has no flavor. There's no threat. There's nothing to be nervous about. And I love it. People laugh at me when I tell them that I play this game to relax, because it is nerve-wracking. If you're doing it right, you're nervous constantly, because it's like you don't know what could happen. I love it. It's why I like horror movies, man. I like to be scared and thrilled and all that. I don't get that out of horror movies anymore. I get it out of DayZ.
It can be incredibly relaxing, you know. When I was watching the sunset on Scaliste Island, pulling up mackerel, listening to some harmonica music, vibing with my chat, you know, here's the thing. I spawned in the next day on Scaliste Island and immediately got shot. You're not safe there.
Yeah, right. That's it, Jersey. It does, man. I mean, that's why we say, you know, especially to people who aren't used to KOS. And I mean, there are a lot of people out there. I certainly would not be derogatory to anybody, because it is hard. You know, it's hard, especially if you're not used to it. It was hard for me. The whole thing when I first started playing DayZ, right? I was also somebody that watched someone stream it. Ben Fruit, if you guys have ever heard of him. He was hilarious, and he lucked out and ended up on a server where people were role playing, and so I got to see it, you know, from that kind of a perspective to begin with. But they were being silly, and it was funny, and it just looked hilarious and fun. And then, of course, I asked in his chat, and they were like, "This never happens," and I was like, "Okay, fine, so that's reality." But I decided to try it anyway, and so here we are, you know. But I think I'd actually forgotten where my point was going with that. But I mean, it was like, you know, I was expecting a certain thing out of it. And then when I got into it and I was just playing DayZ vanilla, it was literally 5 to 10 minutes and I would fall over, you are dead. And I was shocked, man. I was like, how do I even know if it was a bug that killed me? This is ridiculous, you know? It doesn't even tell you how you died. Nonsense, you know? And yeah, it took a while to get used to it. And just
100%. I mean, I introduced a friend to the game. Yo, Sergeant Sammy, what's up, dude?
Thank you, Sammy.
I introduced someone to the game recently. He's one of the top Last of Us 2 players on Twitch, actually.
Yeah.
And he's got a good handle on it. He role plays well. And I've watched. He's not whitelisted, so I watched his stream the other day trying to play on any other server, you know. And yeah, there's like nothing. He's like it felt the whole experience felt hollow. Is what he said to me. Yeah, there's like nothing. You know? He's like it felt the whole experience felt hollow. And yo, here's another thing. Like a lot of people when they watch streams want to see things happening constantly. You know, and you go to one of the top stream. He said this to me because he's new to the game. He's practically only played on Doug. He's like, man, he's like, you go to one of those streams and they find something useful in every house. He's like, they find a gun or food in every single house. And he's like, that actually seems really boring. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is really boring.
I'm not even sure I could enjoy that anymore. Come to think of it, I mean, it gets hard, but it's to the point to where it's like within 3 attempts, you know, I'm back where I need to be. I don't, you know, I've learned to survive on the server, but yeah,
this chef barely made it, dude. Last second, I found a sledgehammer, could bust open some rocks and make some knives. You know.
What's up, buddy?
So that honestly, dude, I love being killed and permadeathing a character everybody loved and I loved, because you know why? It's a weight off my shoulders and I get to go back to the coast and yo, I just found this construction hat. Oh, my guy was a quarry worker, you know? Oh, I found this wrench. My dude's a mechanic now. Yo, chat, like, what should we name this mechanic? Where's he from? Like, what kind of accent does he get in? Over the next hours, you meet somebody and you form your roleplay. Like,
that's pretty fun.
That is so liberating and fun. None of these characters are going to last very long, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's cool because you're almost like an ambient character in the background, just going around doing your thing to other people. You know, if people stop and interact with him, then.
And I said this for years, that I feel like I am the lifeblood of interaction on Doug. Organic interaction on Doug that doesn't require groups to get together. And I'm not demeaning anybody else. The groups and factions need to exist. And everybody, like I've said this at the beginning of the broadcast, if everyone did my style and everybody did permadeath, we wouldn't have all of the beautiful things that we have on Doug right now.
No, yeah, there would be no longevity at all.
So kudos.
But you know,
kudos
even me,
to the base sitters.
Keep in mind that I'm a base sitter only when I have to be. I really don't want to be, but I'm also a solo player who thrives on bringing groups together for roleplay. So you know, it's like I'm a little bit of an anomaly as well. You know, in regards to how
I don't call it base sitting to be setting up a community camp as one person at a church where you play a reverend to, you know, show people the light. I mean, it
is so hard, man.
That's how St. Joseph's started, you know.
It is so
it's
hard.
Really funny for me to hear people talk about St. Joseph's too. And
you were back in the beginning though, right? I mean,
yes, brother.
Because you've been around
people
years.
Don't know. People don't know when they meet me in game because I act like a complete noob. They'll be like, "How long you been around here for?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, it's my first day." and I act like I don't know what Dolina is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, oh, you know, Muggle life again. You go up to Hobie. I'm like, you might as well be speaking French to me, mate. You know, you got to explain that. So
Yeah.
they think I'm brand new, and then they're like, oh, there's this place St. Joseph's, and I'm like, oh, who, you know, who started that? And they're like,
Oh
oh,
man,
some
that's
guardian. They're like some guardian. I'm like, some guardian, huh? They're like a guardian named Toronto. I'm like, okay, cool.
that's
Let's throw the
hilarious.
fryer in the
Yeah.
fire, dude.
Because you know all this stuff, and like, yeah, to hear it told back to you years later.
Yeah,
I mean, years later. Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
funny as hell. You know, you look. Did you know who
Thank you,
Tex
Jersey.
Rockwolf was?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I played you his tape. He was
I
like
do know
the
who
main
Tex
protagonist
is,
on the
but
server.
I didn't know.
Dude.
I didn't know his last name actually, but I didn't know.
was
I
the
don't know
main-
his story. Is the thing. But
I could tell you everything about him, but he was the main protagonist on the server for years. You know, he ran the Firekeepers. He was a big proponent of St. Joseph's and good play and giving people a chance for redemption. He was like this God-fearing man that would like take walks with like the sociopathic characters and try to talk to them about decisions, you know. And his whole thing was he redeemed himself from his past as a bandit. And that was his whole thing, was having this distinctive voice and play style and a way of looking, you know. So it's actually awful for me that people don't even know who that character is anymore. You know, that was like the guy.
Well, that's cool. Well, I'm not going to spill too much, but I've got another video series that I'm planning. I'm actually talking to people about that. I actually need to talk with you about that you are going to enjoy. But I'll leave that. Right, cool. That's a teaser. That's a teaser. We've got something coming that's going to be pretty awesome.
You're finally taking your shirt off.
Talk with you about it. It is, and actually, what I told people now, like again, I don't do the whole thing. Oh, I need like 1,000 subscribers, you know, and I can, you know, do crazy stuff. Although the one thing that I promised to do, and I've not put a number to this, so I can do it anytime, is back when all the chest painting was real popular. I was like, you know, I could do that, right? I could totally do that. And get a paintbrush. I will totally do it. I will paint. Now, of course, it's probably going to be a textured landscape. You know what I'm saying? But I will totally do that at some point.
There you go, dude.
I can't cosplay, but we'll come up with something. We'll come up with some achievable goal. And
make your money, dude. Do a hot tub
everybody
stream.
will want to do it. Hey, I don't mind, dude. I will shake my money maker. Is all I'm saying.
Hey, man, listen.
I come from that era.
Road,
you know, I'm grandfathered in.
Someone wants to pay me to hang out in a hot tub, brother. I'm doing it. I'm going to monitor my blood pressure, and I'll hang out in the hot tub all night.
That's it, man. That's it. We'll do it. That'll be great. You guys will see. I'll have a body painting stream. That'll be crazy.
Amazing.
We'll do it. Anyway. All right, guys. So it's after 4. We're having a great time, but we're going to wind it down because
I gotta get in the shower and get ready for my stream today, too.
So, man, Deathbringer, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the show today. I really feel like I got a lot of it. I hope that you guys did too. The time flew by. But anyway, yeah, you guys come back and check it out. We do this every Tuesday for the most part at 2 p.m. Eastern. We talk about Doug and you know, whatever else, man. But again, thank you for coming. We talked about streaming and about permadeath and all this stuff. So if you missed it, you know, check it out. It'll be on YouTube. I promise I'll get it up there soon. It'll be at least on Twitch for a couple of weeks. And again, we'll be back next week. It's going to be mainly me, but anybody who wants to, we'll treat it like a call-in show. We're going to talk about storytelling and role-playing and KOS and the whole thing, because there are a lot of new people who have filtered in, and I would love to actually treat this like, guess what, a gaming workshop. That's right, which was the original idea for the show. In 2 weeks from now, get this. You guys don't know this. This is an exclusive. 2 weeks from now, we are going to have as guests the Doug modding team. That's right. The entire modding team is going to be here. That's Diesel, that's Ammo, and that's Dr. Desync are all going to be here. I think it's the 18th. Don't quote me on that, but it's a Tuesday. Yeah, I think it's the 18th. Are all going to be here to talk about modding for DayZ and Doug and their history here. It's going to be fantastic. So I hope that you guys, thank you so much for the cheers. I hope that you guys will be able to make it. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. You have any final words there?
I was just going to say, I remember when Dr. Desync was just like a good screenshot taker on the server. My final words is just thanks for the invitation. Thanks for your time. And thanks for the overwhelming support the DayZ Underground community has shown. You know, keep in mind, I'm trying to do this full time. Just coming to hang out is the most anybody could do. And the fact that anybody really digs my content really warms my heart, and it really helps me out on a very fundamental level right now. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep working my tail off every day. I mean, I'm not going to take a day off if I can avoid it. I might take a half day off and go get some exercise, because if my health isn't there, I can't keep going. But I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate what you do for the community and your role play and everything. And, you know, I hopefully won't run into you on every single character, but it's gone that way. Not
so
every
far,
character.
yeah, so far.
Would it be okay if, well, last time I tried to post a link, it didn't work. I was going to say anybody can join my Discord if they want updates, but don't even worry about it. Just message me if you're really into that. I'm going to go live here in probably an hour after I take a shower if anybody wants to check that out. If you wanted somebody to raid, I know Iris just raided somebody. Von Luddy. I don't know if he's on Doug though. So
yeah,
it's
I usually do that.
But yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. Thanks for your
I'll raid
time.
somebody. We'll get it to some. We'll pass it off to somebody today. But no, man, thank you. Well, again, thank you for coming. And again, for everybody else, I appreciate it. The schedule that you're going to see at the end is pretty accurate. So I'm going to start doing my Mondays again like I'm supposed to. And I'll definitely be on tomorrow, though we might do a little Dreadpire Boomer. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while. It's been a while.
I did want to plug my Doug streamer event that I'm planning one more time.
Do it.
I don't have a day set up yet, but I'm going to post a survey to the DayZ Underground Discord to find out what might be the best day for the most creators. It's probably going to be a Sunday. I don't really want it to be a whitelist day, but it might be the easiest way to do it. Luddy is a wanderer. Okay, so if you wanted to get the raid going, I just typed his name into chat whenever you're ready.
Okay.
But if you are a Doug streamer, contact me if you'd like to be included. The more people, the better. And it's going to help everybody. See you around Trinaris.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody, thanks again for coming in. And like I said, if I don't see you throughout the week, we'll see you next Tuesday here at 2 p.m. Eastern. And there it is. All right, everybody. Take it easy.
Take care. Get that raid going, brother.
Yeah, hang out for Luddy here in just a few minutes. I like Luddy. It's really good.
He'll be happy to get the community. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out too. Thanks my folks for popping in. Look forward to seeing you guys around. And keep the meta discussion out of my chat.
Amen, brother. Amen. No meta. All
right, it's raiding time. There it is. And now this homie gets to enjoy my follow because I didn't even know about him, and he gets to enjoy.
Yeah, there we go. That's awesome. Yeah, I need to coming in. And I will be following Luddy because yeah, we like Luddy. He's
Reverend
fun to play
Raid,
with also.
Reverend Raid.
There it is. Yes, thank you.
All right, man. I hope I did okay there. You know, I tend to ramble